Green Jeans Garden, PLC, Green Jeans Garden.
Hey guys, what's up? Good evening. It's dark. Who knows what time it is? Probably 5 o'clock or so. But day's wrapping up. Figured come take some rips with you, talk some strips, talk whatever you guys want. Dab rig is as dirty as sin. You guys can give me hell for that. Testing out some drivers over here. We can talk about that in a minute. We'll let everyone get in. Got some good stuff for people who hate Meanwell like myself. So should be good. Nothing against Meanwell. They make a fantastic product. I just don't like the company. But yeah. Woo. Got some Geranimals. The 22, the super nice flower phenol. Man, makes solid rosin. Not the best rosin I've ever had in my life, but the flavor is fantastic. Absolutely amazing. It reminds me of like fucking incredible. I don't know if you guys remember that strain. There was that, and then Kryptonite. Both of them very unique smells, very, very unique. But somewhere in between those two is where I'd put it. Really like it. Working the kinks out with a jar tech. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I was trying to take pictures of my good jar tech thing last night, and I built up a whole LED rig to underlight it I put a big cob under there. I was only running it at like 8 watts, but I don't know. It heated it up a touch more than I wanted to. That's why I took that video that I posted today. I was actually overheating it a little bit. Anyway, yeah, Loki, you like flour. I know that. I haven't smoked flour. I mean, I've probably smoked an ounce of flour in the last, probably more than an ounce, but, an ounce of flour in the last few years. It's all concentrates. Smoke a lot like yourself, and so I think about my lungs more than, I like the flavor, obviously. I love the flavor, love the potency, but it is also a health choice for me for how much I smoke and how much I burn to go with concentrates. And I also have a fuck ton of flour that, what am I going to do with it? I might as well extract it because it's a lot of flour, but if you're only yielding 5 to 10% of true full melt, 5 to 10% to yourself, that is what it is. So yeah, let's dab. Then we'll go talk shop. There's also some good stuff. I'm thinking about doing a tech talk this weekend. It'll be on YouTube, but it won't be live because YouTube took away my live streaming privileges for 90 days. Fuck you, YouTube, if you're watching this. But I'll do a recorded one. There's definitely some news in the industry, some very big news for myself and others, and some things. Yeah. So anyway, gonna try to record something. It'll be a little shorter form without the interactive questions, but yeah, fuck YouTube, right? They're just always after me. And it's actually not YouTube. I can guarantee it's that whole organics versus synthetics things, which people somehow put me on the synthetic thing. I understand, like, I grow with synthetics, but anyway, they put me to one team. I pissed a lot of people off, for sure. Pissed a fuck ton of people off. I also pissed a lot of people off and just blocked them because they're being children. And it's like, if you don't want to talk about this in an educated way, I don't have time for your shit. So I blocked a lot of people. Pissed a lot of people off. And conveniently, right after that old deal, I had a bunch of strikes and complaints. So, I pissed off some hippie hypers. Anyway, it is what it is. I don't live stream all that much, but it does mean I can't join the round table on Friday nights. It also, there's some issues with it, but it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. They made all their profiles private too, so it's very, very obvious what was going on. But it is what it is. No big deal. No skin off our backs. We can hang out on Instagram. So, so over here we have testing out 2 drivers. Well, one you guys know very, very well. The Meanwell HLG 320 H-C whatever 1400. Here we have the comparable counterpart from Powerland, or FSP Power. And I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't heard of FSP Power before. But you guys have all heard of Fluence, and Fluence has been using these guys for the past year and a half, 2 years now, for a long time. Done very well, and my supplier, who's also a supplier of Meanwell, they pushed them on us a long time ago. Wasn't really into it. Meanwell's been overall okay, but prices and just the company's issue with warranty, you know, like if a light goes out, we have to send in the whole light for them to inspect it and do all this, even though it's the same light we've sent them before with the same driver issue. Anyway, there's parts about Meanwell that really piss me off. So any way to get around them and use a comparable product, I'm going to do that. And this is very, very interesting because it does everything a Meanwell can. It dims in 3 ways, and from my testing right here, it's actually more efficient at the wall. Now, the Meanwell's giving us like 100 more milliamps of current when undimmed. Yeah, there's so little pros and so little pros for Meanwell against this driver right now. I'm trying to get price locked down. That'll obviously be the big factor, but I can't imagine it being cheaper, more expensive in any way. I've been basically guaranteed it should be cheaper. No, not Invitronics, although Invitronics is a quality brand driver. Here, let me flip you guys around. So this is FSP Group. It's called Powerland is what basically I've always known them as. And you can see, super comparable. 320 watts, 320 watts. Slightly longer, but this is slightly wider. Overall material probably about the same. Like I said, slightly narrower. Both multiple dimming can be dimmed whether digitally 0 to 10 volt or with a basic potentiometer, and it goes all the way to off. The Meanwell HLG 320, it does that. This thing dims all the way to off. But for people like Fluence, for people like Spectrum King, whoever's running a low voltage system, anyone who wants to run a low voltage system or a parallel system, the Meanwell 320 more standard voltages, 54, 48, 42, 36, 27, or 30, etc. You know what I'm talking about. Those actually don't dim to off, and that's one of the things we used in the PLC 330 and why it didn't fully dim to off. Anyway, that's the main reason I think Fluence actually went to these, is because they're 42 volt or 36 volt, whatever they're using, dims fully to off and can be used with controllers. Now what I'm testing here is wall plate efficiency. See how much power they're actually drawing from the wall. I mean, it's not a perfect system over here, but how much power they're drawing from the wall and how much power they're actually putting out on the DC side to the LEDs. Yes, and they do rock up to 277 volts. Meanwell goes to 305, this goes to 277. I imagine this probably goes to 305 as well, but they keep the ratings more standard. Which really doesn't matter because I don't know anyone who runs a voltage over 277 that's between 277 and 305, so that's whatever. Anyway, what I find is products that are at the top of the line and high quality, such as Meanwell, and my other example would be Cree for that matter, they tend to quote the upper ends of their spec sheets. And it's a lot easier to fall short of those specs versus overshoot them. As were other brands such as Bridgelux and what I'm seeing from now, Powerland right here, and granted this is a very small sample size I'm working with, so not much to be said. Anyway, what I'm finding here is it's overshooting its specs just slightly. Not so much on the current. We're obviously getting ever so slightly more than the advertised the 1.4, and we don't have the dimming leads connected to anything. It's wide open. But the efficiency at the wall, we're getting on average about a half to a full % more efficiency on 120 volt versus the Meanwell. So the Powerland is currently more efficient than the Meanwell. Granted, saying that, the Meanwell is giving us around 6 more watts of total power. But that shouldn't be anything to sway those numbers very much. So yeah, sorry, let me get back on chat, see what you guys are asking about that. I'm sure there's a ton of questions. Price point, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. It should be less than the Meanwell. I can actually guarantee it's going to be No, it's going to be no more than the meanwhile. Worst case, it's the exact same. We'll see. I'll try to bring some in. Currently, that is the issue with these. Is really only companies are buying them. There's not really any kind of like DigiKey or places that have a lot of stock in right now. So you can't just really buy them like you can Meanwhile. So Meanwhile definitely has a hole in the market. But for those of you who are always looking for the next best thing, or always want to kind of go around the mainstream, this is a driver to do it. Everything requires claiming custom fees. Meanwhile comes from China. Some of their things are made in Taiwan still, but the bulk of their drivers are still coming out of China. Yeah, if you guys are just looking for off-the-shelf parts, like what you're going to find today off-the-shelf, Meanwhile is still your option. But like I say, if you actually know what you're doing, you're here in the DIY, you've been here a little bit, I'm not going to hold your hand to it, but if you're looking for an alternative, this is it. And when you see them in lights like Fluence or PLCs or whoever decides to use them, there's reasons they're using them. And I've seen some posts on forums and things recently of people pretty hot to trot on Meanwhile, and the actual quote was, why are all change from Meanwhile when the best companies change from Meanwhile? And literally my response to that was, Spectrum King's using Invitronics, which not that I qualify them as the best company by any means, but a big company that's producing a lot of lights and has a relatively quality brand, performances, whatever, and their thing, but you get the point. And Fluence has been doing it for a long time. Then you have now Gavita, who's using Philips. Is Meanwhile that hot to trot? They are. I mean, they have all the good qualities of every other driver, but by no means are they up on top of some platform by any means. So that's all I'm kind of showing here. IP67, 5-year warranty, might be 7. I'm not sure. I know Meanwhile pushes theirs to 7, but that's what I'm saying. I saw a post on a forum that someone actually got Meanwhile to come through on their warranty, but I've bought in literally thousands of Meanwhile drivers, and I have a stack somewhere of dead drivers, and some of them they warranty and some of them they don't. I think with the smaller customer they just kind of take it, but with me they literally make me send in the whole light that it failed in, so I have to. It's just a fucking shit show. Mousy, what's up, man? I was actually going to call you today, but I got super busy, so if you got time or anything, give me a ring. Yeah, see, you've gotten Meanwhile to help. Tell them to fucking help someone who buys thousands of their shit. God. So yeah, these Powerland can be anything. They have everything from the low voltage. So Mouse, if you just got in here, God, that's crazy, dude. I've literally had I mean, it's not much, but I've definitely had over 20 in my whole Meanwhile career. Granted, like I said, we've bought in thousands. It's a small percentage. But the thing is when they're dealing with that small percentage and they basically give you the finger, makes me want to give them the finger and not give them my dollars. So anyway, for Mouse who just got in here, we're talking about the FSP Powerland 320s, the ones that are in the Fluence. Doing some testing on them here. They're actually, at least the few samples that I have, yeah, we eat it too exactly. So for the few samples I have, very small sample size here, but the Powerland's actually coming in more efficient on 120 power. I'm gonna go over to the 240 side here and do the testing and see how it works. But yeah, I was impressed with that because that's kind of the only thing that really holds it back on the data sheet is its overall efficiency, and it's just a percent. I think it's 2% stated, and like I said, we'll see how that actually comes out on 240. And if I don't have a 277 thing here, but I do down at the factory, so I'll bring them down. Yeah, I mean, the big news, we'll just crash it right here, like I'll probably talk about it on Saturday, but the big news is Samsung is stepping up their game in the horticulture market, and they are offering a linear strip. super competitive to the PLC Photo Boost. Definitely, it's a different configuration, but you can go check it out on Samsung's thing. Go into their industrial light module thing, check it out. And they also are making a special version of the 301B. They're calling the 301H, and it will be 301H for horticulture. Seems like it just has something to do a little anti-sulfurization coating on it or something. Not really sure. Finding out more from my Samsung rep. I got some emails and some base information on it a couple weeks ago, but nothing substantial. They said that they'd have samples out soon, so we'll see. Until then, we just continue to make. I think we're going to probably undersell them with the Photo Boost, and it's definitely a slightly different design in the sense that we can put optics on ours. Theirs aren't going to fit optics as well, but we'll see how it all plays out. Yeah, no, like I said, they look good. You see the specs, they look good. And so that's the whole thing. Everything's so close that it comes down to the real world comparison. How are they actually performing at temperature? No. 301H. Trust me, I'm 100% right on this. Yes, the 351H is their 660. The 301H is their 3030 full spectrum white diode with a anti-sulfurization coating on it. It doesn't specifically say what the lumens per watt is, as it does with the 301B at binning, but it quotes it in micromoles per joule. And it seems to be possibly a touch lower than, maybe just a smidget lower than the 301B based on standard binning, but we'll see. Like I say, I'm surprised you haven't. Yeah, it really popped up, and they were kind of secretive about it because I've been bitching at them for about a month to get the info on the white-red module, and they wouldn't give it to me. Then all of a sudden I found it online today, and I hit up my rep like, yo, the fuck? Anyway. Hydrolock, I don't have an answer. I don't actually know. I don't really dislike or anything. I actually like the system a lot. I'm probably going to set up a 12 to 24 plant run here, and I was going to hit you up. I literally have no plants growing right now. I have a vacation coming up, and then after that, it's full bore. So I was kind of going to plan it out. So sorry I didn't hit you back right there. Yes, bro. Remember why you bring me on the streams. I'm the one who's got the info all the time. No, I'm just kidding, Mousy. Yeah, it just popped up today. It just popped up today. I didn't hear about the 301. The 301H was kind of a surprise. I heard about the modules a long time ago, and it makes sense why they wouldn't give me information on the modules, because I knew what the 660 was going to be, but they're putting that 301H diode into their horticulture module already, and so that's why I was kind of like, wait, what? It's a 301H? Are they shafting? I was thinking they were shafting people, giving them like a 301Z. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, this is on the spec sheet, it's here, and all of a sudden it was here. And anyway, so yes, for those of you, let me blow the world as we do usually. So the hottest thing to trot is going to be the new Horticulture L2 module, which is directly comparable to our Pacific Light Concepts Photo Boost strips, except for the fact that they won't be able to integrate optics as easily as ours, and different red setup. I'm actually very, very curious to see, and the price. I think the pricing is not going to be as good, but if it is, fuck me, man. We'll figure it out. They're definitely using a cooler temperature 301. I already can tell that. But anyway. Yeah, bro. Yeah, you can have strips. I know you need two. I literally, I was going to cheat you. So I don't have any, I have a few strips here. No-tills just went out. No-till just got a couple strips today. I've got a couple strips here, but we changed to a bigger contract manufacturer from our one in Carlsbad. We're dealing with another one. So I can place boards here on the pick and place. I have the pick and place I can do, and I have a reel of SLs I wanted to build up and send you out and just kind of get some things so you have the freshy bins and all that. If I'm going to send Mouse some boards, they better be the fucking best boards I can give them, and they'll be handmade by me. So if you could just hold on, give me 3 days so I could get to work, Mouse, I will get you 2 boards, no problem. Maybe even more if you ask nicely. people. I think we can do it. We did it. Woo! What's up, man?
Did I lock up the stream?
No, you're good to go.
Oh, dude. Thanks for accepting, dude. I knew you still loved me.
I've never done this. You're the only person I would do it with.
You and probably Loki and maybe
I get Loki
others.
on there. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a few. I'm just trying to fuck you up. But what's up, man?
I just figured we could get a little intimate.
I feel you. I definitely feel you on this. I'm sure everyone out there in Live Land loves it because that's going up quite fast.
So, thanks for letting me crash the stream. I wasn't trying to be that know-it-all guy. I did not know about the 301H, and that would be news to me.
Yeah, no, it was news to me as of like 6 hours ago.
Now, I think the question that's on everybody's mind right now is how does a guy like you and a guy like me get this little dude? I've been rubbing prenatals all over my shit, man.
Yeah,
Can't
buddy.
get that healthy connector.
Mm-hmm.
I think, nah, you're coming in pretty good. I'm just trying to jack, Gene. You know, I just wanted to be a jacker my whole life. I got the shirt.
I feel you, man. Yeah, everyone in the chat was like, "Beards are strong, boys." I like it. Thank you.
All right, so
yeah, so go ahead, continue on.
I was just gonna say that the HLG 320 Powerlands were inferior to Meanwell across the board, and I think they still are. Looking at their spec sheets, you know, they're quoting like 92.5, 93% max efficiency, whereas obviously an HLG is max 95%, right?
But see, the thing is that 95 is at 277, 100% load. As soon as you're at 92% load at 277, you're back down at 120 efficiencies. It's very, very selective on how it is.
Are we talking the lower end 320s, or are we talking the 600, the 750, the bigger drivers? Because I see a clear sort of like.
I'm talking 320s. Are you talking Powerland has the 720 drivers for Powerland?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, what I was going to get into, I got the new Fluence here, and I'm not going to trash it. I'm going to be real fair because this is worth. I think Meanwell is getting decrowned in the 600 watt and category by.
That's what
across the board.
I'm saying, and I'm showing it right here on the. I've got live efficiency with everything the same down to the exact wire run, so the resistance should be, like everything's ideal, and constantly. I mean, I've only tested 3 Meanwells and 3 Powerlands here, but the Powerland's consistently about half to almost to 1.1% more efficient currently on 120. I'd like to see how that stands going to the higher voltages, but yeah. So what do you got?
Yeah, we haven't done AC versus DC, but it would take 10 minutes to do, and we can do that. So we're looking here.
And I don't know how accurate my AC side is. So boys and girls in the land out there, the point is, for me at least, is how fucking close they are. Regardless of if one says 96 and one says 94, it seems like in real life they're both hitting 94.5. So that's what I'm getting. Go ahead.
Yeah. So a kilowatt is not a device that's going to let you discern between 94 and 96, right? I think you need 2 Fluke multimeters, that are both pretty dialed in. If you're going to split hairs, right? So what I'm seeing so far, efficiency aside, let's assume equal efficiency, 95% max between this and an HLG 600. I'm seeing 2 years longer warranty on this, 7-year versus 5. So that's nice, especially if they actually warranty your shit. I'm
talking about Powerland on 7-year. We're talking
7-year on the 600 watt unit, the outdoor.
Yeah, same with Meanwell.
Oh, they are 7 on the HLG 600.
I know they are on the 320, I believe. Yeah, they may have upped it, and I don't know if that was possibly something or complaint.
Okay, then how about this? Let's assume equal efficiency for the sake of this conversation. Let's assume equal warranty for this conversation. What are we left with? Price, thermal, performance, which would be efficiency. So let's just call it price.
So price is the big one, and I think I know they can compete, at least on the commercial level. I'm curious to see how it'll be when they come to the retail level, but at least for the commercial customer, I definitely know they can compete.
I'll tell you one thing. For a small guy like me, and I don't know how big you guys are, but let's just assume we're ordering less than 10,000 drivers a shot, right? I don't know. Are you ordering 10,000 drivers at a time?
That was a nod, yes, a confirmation. I am ordering less than 10,000 drivers.
Okay, so let's just put us in the small guy category.
Do you need another confirmation, or are you good to go?
Oh, no, I just hit mute. Sorry. Okay, so MOQs, like this destroys Meanwell's MOQs in price. You know, if I want to order 200 of these, I can get a price that I would have to order, you know, like 1,000 Meanwells to get. So we're coming in, same warranty, same efficiency, better price. We can either make more profit or pass that on to the customer. And I think market pressures are leading, you know, a lot of people to pass that off to the customer. $1,500 per 4x4 for the high end it's no one's paying it. No, you know.
Well, the other thing is Gavita just came in at $1,350 for an equal system.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, so let's call it 1,300. And I think you're right there with two of your new, you know, strip or linear, I should say, type of fixture, right? Aren't those like 650?
Yeah, like if you doubled the reference build that I showed on YouTube, it is identical, like down to the photon for Gavita's fixture, and the spectrum is freakishly similar, and there's a lot of similarities. So and currently I don't have anything pre-production. We're working on some heat sinks and some other kit-like things, but as far as for the DIYer, that would be the one-to-one comparison is Gavita's new fixture there, which I guess would also kind of translate to Fluence's. They're pretty similar on output.
All right, so with Powerland and Meanwell, if all factors are equal, you're left with price, win to Powerland, and features, right? We've always had 3-in-1 dimming with Meanwell back since, you know, Stone Age.
It's with
Powerland.
Powerland.
Thing has a Bluetooth module in it, dog.
Oh, the 600 one, yeah.
Yeah, or you can get Zigbee.
Yeah, they have the same thing. They have the same thing ERP has. The same replaceable modules, which are interesting because I have those 50-watt little teeny ass ERP drivers. These things don't say it, but they accept potentiometer. They were working on potentiometer dimming too. It was very interesting.
Well, you know, Fluence has switched over to the Powerland some years ago. You know, Loki's that I opened up in repair, it had the smaller ones. So, you know, I definitely have to give them credit. I criticized them in the past, and I do think that the 320s are inferior to an HLG 320. I really do. Based on the numbers that I was getting, you know, back in 2017, they were inferior numbers. Like I did the whole thing, you know, with the test, and it was about 1.5–2% less efficient. But let's assume I'm wrong. Okay, sorry, I was wrong. It's looking like this is going to put some pressure on Meanwell. You know, Meanwell had that big. Remember when we were all stuck with 185s for years, right? And then
they had a big push from like 2013 to 2015 of really increasing their higher wattage driver selection, much more than anyone else's catalog, and everyone else has really been left behind in that. And that's what's kept me from companies like ERP for the longest time. Powerland's had it, but I was kind of with you on the you know, Meanwell, why jump ship? It's not offering me anything better, and it seems to be a touch lower, but like you say, over these years, they've definitely ironed some things out. And I know their founder, I don't know if you know the whole lowdown on their founder, but as far as a company, they seem pretty legit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into like naming distributors and shit, but you know, the popular distributor carries Philips, they carry ERP, they carry all these Inventronics, you know, and you got to look at those things. But it becomes futile after a while when all roads lead back to Meanwell. And here we have something that's offering value in all categories. I'm just getting my headphones real quick. But I don't know, dude. I think it's a contender. And here's the other thing. 750-watt motherfucking drivers in one driver. There's value there, right? 750
Wait, what are you talking?
Drivers?
You're breaking up, bro.
I know. I'm sorry. Hold on. Just get my headphones.
But yes, like Inventronics for that instance. I think you just said multi-output drivers that are giving you multi-channels of single current. So instead of running multiple parallel systems,
you now have multiple miniature constant current systems, much more reliable, much more, I mean, I guess reliable is the word I'm looking for there too, consistent as far as their output. And that's one of the reasons, like for my reference design, I told everyone to run them in constant current, because you're in a relatively safe voltage for any kind of DIY DC world, and you're going to get the most consistent output out of the system. I'm getting tons of questions from people out there though, like, can I run it on an HLG 600H? Sure, double up the boards, do a parallel system off that, but anytime you can run constant current, I'm always a big fan. So yeah, those multi-output driver systems are badass.
And for our people just joining the scene, we're talking about series builds, right? Constant current series builds.
Yes, excuse me, yes.
All right, you ready to get?
They're all kind of constant current, but yes.
Now this is I'm going to show you guys the new Fluence. I believe the 2i is the more efficient one. I can't remember.
I saw your. I got to. Not live, but I saw your stream the other day when you had it open and we're checking it out.
Okay, so when I was watching your video on the reference design, I can't help but agree with you, but also feel I'm not contradicted, but like here I am wanting to try to show people that yes, you can run parallel, you know, and it's pretty fucking safe. All you have to be able to do is make a good connection here and a good connection at the driver. And, you know, it's now been since March we were selling the Logics, and I've been paralleling them up. I haven't had one person say, hey, dude, I paralleled these up. And
bro,
then,
I got the PLC 6 Gen 1. That was HLG 600, Veros in parallel. I binned them at our assembly factory the best we could, so they're relatively, you know, as close as possible in voltage, but you can only do so much. And overall, even with divided heat sinks and you know, basically isolated thermally in a sense, no issues.
all right, so then we're in agreement, right?
No, it's not. It's not the end of the world. And then if you really get down to it, I have high voltage ETL certified bars, so it's for wet and damp locations, so it's not an issue. But there is the factor of, well, less voltage, wet and damp locations, the better, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the thing, but that's where those multiple output drivers are like, okay, they're giving you low voltage and your pure constant, you know, like reliable constant current, no worry about runaway in any way. That's a lot to talk about.
So this is just a statement of fact and just, you know, educating people. Obviously, you and I are both competitors of Fluence, but I think we've also worked pretty hard to earn people's trust by not blowing smoke up their ass for personal gain, right?
Yes. With that said, yeah, go ahead.
With that said, the way the new, I'm just explaining for the 87 people that are in here. I know you caught my stream, but I've been confident in recommending parallel. In one of my older videos, I did warn people of the dangers of thermal runaway, but I didn't go into the detail about matching voltage, etc. In a production setting, you know, a multi-million-dollar production setting owned by Osram, you know, Fluence is showing us that you can take a driver that's 600 watts, 11.1 amps DC, and, you know, I'm not saying this is a lamp cord in a negative context, but I own lamps and they have a similar cord. This isn't anything, you know, that you couldn't get from Home Depot, and you can just go directly from the 11.1 amp. You know, this happens to be the 36 to 54 volt, which is something, I mean, we need a whole freaking stream about Powerland's offering in that range with the auto adjustment of the amperage, but you can get 12.5 amps out of this at 48 volts DC, or you can get 11.1 at 54, or if you go down to 36 volts, you get like 15 some odd 16.7 amps. So it's a highly flexible driver, but it's just paralleled up, baby. It's just paralleled up and you just stick pins in holes. That's one of the big ways that they bumped up their efficiency from the old model that essentially had, you know, 10 LDD, meanwhile LDD 1500s in it. It was their custom, but, you know, you lose 2 volts. What does 2 volts mean? You know, that's heat, that's efficiency. You know, you're losing some chunks. So they just scrapped it, dude. They just scrapped it.
That was the one thing I was actually interested to see that they had. I didn't realize they had that in the original model, that they had a current control system. I was actually very surprised to see that, and actually not so surprised to see that, because what I'm finding in everything we do, the more and more we run parallel, so the more we're splitting up these large currents to break it down to these small diodes that need, you know, 100 milliamps more or less. Like, the less and less issues with thermal runaway you have. But if you have, say, 2 cobs, they'll battle it out. 3 cobs, okay, you know, like not really, but like you have more potential with something like that, at least what I'm finding, versus the more and more we're splitting it up, it just really doesn't want to run away. It's hard to get into an issue like that.
You nailed it.
Especially with binning, with voltage binning now. It's flux. No, I didn't feed her. Flux bins are so, you know, they're all really good. So it's like really like keeping your consistent voltage for your builds is so much more important these days.
I've seen you know, like a let's say you know 3590, right? Like the CD bin, the one we other one would be 35, and those came from the same batch. Now those could have been gray market from King Bright, but 0.2 is a big deal, you know, when you're here. But you know, in a cob, I guess it's a big deal. I guess what I'm saying is I agree with your point. A cob could be 0.2 volts off. That's significant enough to drive current more to that, you know, to that higher unit or that higher voltage. Over here, 0.2 would be very difficult to reach. You know, we're talking about differences in bars of like 0.05 of a volt. So yeah, the runaway situation is minimized by all these parallel and series strings.
Yep.
Now, going back to what you were saying about the Samsung 301H and then the LH351 red, there's a little bit of a philosophy shift, and I don't know if there's been a phosphor advance or maybe the blues have become more electrically efficient, but I figured it out. I shouldn't, well, I'm going to take all the credit for this. So let's say the team over here has figured it out. We got a side-by.
So are those really like just I'm going in right now because are those really Samsung? So I was thinking Osram would end up putting their own diodes in there.
Fluence has come out and publicly stated, and they normally never do. I have an email from Fluence from 2 years ago that said that they switch between LG and Samsung, blah, blah, blah. But they've come out and said they officially use Osram Reds and Samsung 301Bs.
Okay.
And I don't think that they could reach this efficacy with a knockoff. Okay. Now here's what's interesting. Their typical ratio was always a warm to a neutral in approximately a 1-to-3 ratio. Like 2 parts warm to 1 part cool. It's more like an 8 to 7, or no, excuse me, it's more like a 7 to 15 ratio if you actually count them. But you know, let's call it 2 to 1, right? 2/3 warm, 1/3 cool, plus the reds. Now they flip the script on the higher efficiency model. They have 2 parts cool, 1 part warm, but they're giving you an extra 20 reds. So, you know, I think it, and I don't even.
Okay, so get this. So the new Samsung module. So they're making a strip. It's 41 millimeters wide, 560 millimeters long. So it's, you know, like our strips, but they're using basically the Fluence layout. And the 2-footer consists of 96 white diodes and 15 reds.
This is the Samsung kind of reference strip?
It's not a reference strip. They're going to be selling this just as they do like the F strips or the H strips. This is their horticulture industrial thing, and it's using, you know, it's the showcase of the 301H and obviously the 660. But exactly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have some 301Hs here, actually. I don't know if we can tell much by looking at them, but there may be a bin or a flux or some indicator so we can at least kind of document it. Now, we looked at the Samsung Reds because we wanted to get those pucks made at Samsung. And they were down to do it, dude. It would have become a Samsung SKU. Not that you could buy our shit on DigiKey unless we got that big, but it would have become a SKU. But the minimum order for the first order would have been something like $500,000. And that's a lot for us, dude. I don't know if you guys have $500,000 just sitting in the bank cash money, but we don't.
Nope.
So here they are.
Close.
Samsung. I'm trying to, I don't know, dude.
I'm spread so thin right now between a few commercial grows with PLC 6s and 330s that I'm fucking about to pull my hair out. You guys are killing me. No one can make up their mind.
These are whites. It was only one sample. It took us about 2 months to get a sample. of these reds. And I wanted to pull them out for context so we could throw them up against the Osram and see if we notice any difference. They're really, really fucking similar to the Osrams in terms of performance and pretty similar in terms of price. So, you know, if you can get, well, so this worries me, right? I mean, let's just talk brass tacks. You just came out with a new strip. I don't think DigiKey is going to be able to compete with a sub $30 price point on this horticulture strip. So I think you're okay for now, dude. But like,
no, I mean, I already, trust me, bro. I've already said to my Samsung rep, I said, I've been talking with you guys about this for a year now. It's taken us a year to get this point. Not once have you fucking brought up the fact that you're basically making the same thing. Obviously, there's slight variations, but yeah, that was my first thing. What the hell is going on here, guys? But I'm curious because their red looked good on spec sheet. It looked good. It's definitely not the Osram. It's not quite a Cree, but it looks good.
It looks good.
And if they're giving you twice as many, you know, what are you going to do? Twice as many, it ran at half the current, you know, it's going to perform at the efficiency as, say, an Osram at a higher current or a Cree at a higher current.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing. Okay, I'm looking for the damn thing because I had the spec sheet pinned to it, and I don't know which ones they are. It was just one sample roll. I can't find them. But here's the thing. I think the Samsung Red is going to be slightly inferior to the Osram.
But what are they going to price?
And the price, our wholesale price was something like 4 cents more, or maybe 4 to 5 cents more based on volume. But we're talking nerd levels of difference, right? We're talking 3.2 at binning current, 3.2 micromoles at binning current versus 3.1 or something. I mean, it was so close. The price was a little higher. But where I'm going with this is the value of a Samsung branded, Samsung solder mask, Samsung warranty product from a no questions asked retailer like DigiKey. That's great for the consumer.
So hot. The H strips they basically cover their little solder points. It's a fantastic strip. I mean, if I'm going all white strips, there's no reason why you wouldn't go those. And now that they're offering a red, of course, like that's the first place anyone, you know, quote unquote, should be looking after they check out PLC.
I will tell the viewers this, dude. Yeah, after you go to PLC, if you're looking at high influx strips, or you know, they're all weird names. So there's like high influx, H influx, whatever. The fiberglass ones are dog shit. They're absolute dog shit. We tested a bunch of the little 300 millimeters side by side, and the one that's a metal core PCB, it's, you know, it's like maybe 50 mil wide metal core PCB, 2 rows.
So that's what
that thing's a monster. It's awesome. But the one that is fiberglass, that's a little thinner, it has less diodes in parallel. So diodes getting, I think they're pumping them to 140 milliamps on a fiberglass board that's 8 times less thermally conductive. Those things were hot as fuck. Whereas the metal core one for $10 more efficient, ran cooler. It didn't even need a heat sink. It literally needed like a 60,000th thick piece of aluminum, if that, dude.
That's what I'm curious about these new strips, because they're rocking them 43 millimeters or 41 millimeters, somewhere around 40 millimeters wide. That's a pretty big strip. That's a big piece of PCB at least.
It's a big strip. It's almost kind of defying physics, isn't it?
Almost. And I mean, they all perform very, very well. The white diodes can take a current beating and a heat beating a lot more than their spec sheets say. Not that anyone out there should be doing this, but you know, they can go very well. It's the reds that need a little protection, and also the reds that take the biggest hit as soon as they get a little heat on them. They start losing their efficiency a lot more than the white or blue diodes do. So yeah, but they perform very, very well, and I think the white diodes are kind of the king behind that. And if they just provide just enough, the reds do okay even without heat sinking. Like even for our boards, we have 2 reds, you know, kind of paired fairly close together. But the diode temperature difference between the reds and the whites is only about like 10 to 12 C.
Are you on metal core on those new strips?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have all the answers. You know,
that hurts right there, bro.
It hurts.
It hurts that you asked me if I'm on metal core. It does.
Oh, it was more, okay, well, I knew that you wouldn't be on fiberglass, but I wanted to ask it to leave myself an out in case you were on fiberglass. Then I could just leave the stream right now, delete your phone number, and block you on Instagram. But
yeah, that hurts.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. I will tell you this. This has nothing to do with chilled, PLC, Samsung, nothing. Don't buy fiberglass strips if you are looking for power, if you're looking for efficiency.
I don't know how fiberglass strips are still in the industry. When I was working with Apache, that was over some other things. But it was very, very shortly after that the whole industry completely ditched. Then it also had a lot to do with going to more like high-powered 35 packages. I think they needed it. And I think now some of those people are like, oh, we're going back to mid-power. We might be able to cheap out and save some dollars on the circuit board if we just run a fiberglass board. And I'm very surprised that's past upper management in certain places. But anyway.
Don't get me twisted, right? Fiberglass boards have their place in light engines.
Not in high-density horticulture or high-density light in general, in my opinion.
Exactly. That was going to be my second statement. If you want to talk about a lamp for maybe photography, if you want to talk about under cabinet lights run at 500, maybe 700 milliamps, you're cool. Yeah, no, 700 milliamps and under, you're cool. You want to start pushing an amp, we're not talking about, having 8 or 10 of these things in parallel. I mean, you can read the traces. There's not that many in parallel. If there's 4 in parallel and you hit this at 700 milliamps, you are at 7 out of 800 milliamps, 800 being the max. You're right there, baby. You're like, you're running an 87%, max power. So, under cabinet light, studio light, little game board jerk light so you can see your keys typing in when it's dark and you're getting intimate. Absolutely. High power arrays. No fucking business. And that's where Fluence earned a lot of respect from me by going to a metal core. They were not using metal core, and now they are. And they dropped about 8C, dude. They dropped about 8C operating temp. Now, efficiency and everything could have been part of it, but respect for that. Sorry, I'm dominating the stream. I just want to get that out there.
I have it, dude. You know how it is. You at least have a few more employees than I do these days. It's I don't get to nerd out with too many people. It's nice to listen to someone and not just tell them what I want.
I know. I'll do more listening and less talking. I just got so excited that you were on and that I caught you, right at the perfect time, and then that you would have me on. I feel kind of estranged from you. Like, people ask me, like, what's up with you and GG? Do you have beef? I'm like, not that I know of. Did he say anything? Like,
I know. They say the same thing to me. I'm like, I don't fucking know, man. I just haven't talked to him. That's all. I tell everyone. I just text him, like, I always say like a week ago, but it's probably like 3 months, but whatever.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, got to put food on the table, and there's just a lot of shit, but we just hired a gal about 3 weeks ago that's really working out well. Her name's Frankie. She's for what I'm used to, no disrespect to the past people that have worked here, awesome folks, but Frankie's just like on that next level. You tell her one time, and that's already almost too many. Like, she gets it. She's respectful, but she just gets it. So she's already just in 3 weeks taken a lot off my plate. I'm hoping to get that grow again, because when I look and see her grow, I feel really left out, and it's my own choice. But dude, I want to
The next one is about to it's going to be unreal. I've got some big plans. But yeah, dude, the tube misses you. Everyone misses you. Instagram, it all. It's not the same without you, without me, without it. The whole fucking dynamics change. So you're not missing much, but as far as on the social side, but as far as for your personal, I can only imagine how much you want to pull your hair out. Not growing these days.
It's not that. It's just that.
Or your wallet. How's it spending for it on the retail level? Or do you have? Yeah, I don't want.
Oh, it fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
I went in yesterday and I bought a pack of 10 edible hard candy lozenge type of things, and I bought a couple of CBD drinks that I like to have, like half of one in the morning, and it was $40, dude, for 2 drinks and a 10-pack of candies. It was $40, and so that probably is a reasonable price. But when you grow that shit for free your whole fucking life, it's like paying for oxygen, or something. It's weird.
Yeah, it's an $8 bottle of water. It fucking just hurts.
I'm looking for my spec sheets real quick. But oh, hey, so I had an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do a collab build with you.
Mm-hmm.
4 logics, basically 300 watts worth of logic,
Okay.
300 watts worth of, what do you call your strips? The 96?
The photo strips, yeah. Whatever.
Photo strips, okay. We do 300 watts of each, and we put them together in a build that we both build, highlighting the strengths of the product. So I think we could agree that a long linear strip requires less thermal management, so you have some cost savings there. You know, after you add it all up, I think you're kind of in the ballpark, you know, with my product and your product, but I think both shine where the other is weak. Like, for example, you know, you put a bunch of linear strips in your corner. I'm talking like, you know, I don't know, we'll just figure it out. Like, you know, we'll kind of go, like, we'll go dollar for dollar, or we'll go watt
Well,
for
that's what
watt.
I'm saying. Would that be like 4 pucks?
Yeah, 4 pucks, and
Yeah,
then
4 pucks. Yeah, give me some shit in the corners.
yeah, so like 4 pucks is what? They're $50 each. That's $200, right? And then if we use 8 of your strips, that's the same 200 within $2.
We can call those 25 a piece for you. That's fine.
Okay, let's call it 25 a piece for me, $50 for you, whatever. We could build 1 build or 2, it doesn't matter. But we do 300 and 300, you know, it's basically price match, but we showcase the strength of the strips in its uniformity and spread over the central region, right? But its downfall is that core, you know, there's just not as much diode density in the corners. So we put the logics in the corners to showcase its, you know, diode density strength. And we do this build where it's like, oh shit, here we are 2 years later, Growmau5 and Gene, competitors, still friends, still doing builds together, still working together, you know, with competing products. I think people would really love it. And it would just show people, you know, like support. If, you know, support who you want to support, it's all good, dude. It's not like you're going to buy just one light, you know, maybe you try a PLC.
I've got quite a few people actually asking, they want to add to the Gen 2. Yeah, I guess what do you call them? The Gen 2s, the original? Yeah, they got a lot of that. Obviously, it's heavy red, heavy blue, you know, more closer to the, I'm not going to call it purple, but you know, it's got a lot of spectrum acting on it. So
Gene, it's the pink. The pink makes it sting, baby.
I don't know, dude. Pucks and strips are pink, dude. You're pushing a little more than pink, but it's still got a lot of white in there. But
you're right. Here's the thing. Okay, yes, it is a little. Let's put it this way. There's obviously
hot pink.
It's hot pink as a motherfucker. You're right.
Pink, bro.
You're right. It ain't blurple though, but it's hot pink as a
That's why
motherfucker.
I shouldn't even let it slip out the mouth. That's what it's not. But
no, it's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I get a lot of that. If they want it, they're doing it regardless. So like, let's give the people what they fucking want. They want the two hot to trot, you know, components out there. Let's give them a badass build.
If people are gonna do it
so
anyway,
we're talking like a big old 5x5 covering total 600 watt build of basically mashing 2 300 watt systems together.
Basically, yeah, in like a grid and checker pattern, whatever we come up with, you know. And what I was thinking,
off the top of my head, I'm thinking square in the center, and then because I mean they don't have to be 4 feet long. We could do them in 2-foot strips that cover the center evenly, but more compact and give you more room on the tank. But we can talk about that later.
No, we can talk about it. Yeah, we can talk about it later. We can talk about it now. So the conventional setup, I'm going to put yours in blue just for the sake of it, right? So this is, you know, this is a 48, right? That's your strips are like 2 feet, right? Okay, so this would be the conventional setup, right? You would just do, you know, these in the center, maybe with some gap in the middle or something, and then you'd put the 4 pucks at the corner.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big fixture, you know.
And that's a big fixture, and it's kind of boring. So maybe we get weird with it. Maybe we get 80-20 hinges, and we come out at a 45, right? And the puck's in the middle, or maybe there's a puck here, or we have this
80-20 hinges, dude. I'm totally for the reference design. I'm gonna make another one and pair it up, and with the dynamic pivots from 80-20, we can totally do the Fluence fold.
Because this isn't where I build it, you know, or whatever, or you build it. It's like we each build an aspect of it. You know, maybe we build 2, or like you build your part and ship it to me.
Okay.
and then I'll build my part and ship it to you, and then we each build our own light, and we both kind of have the same light. And then
Okay,
when I start growing weed again,
All
we
right.
can measure dicks
Dude.
with the
Just
same
whip 'em on the
strain.
table. I was gonna say I'll get you a cut. You can get me a cut, and we can just flop them on the table. I'm down,
Let's just flop them on the table and see how hard they get after 9 weeks, baby.
dude. That's plenty of time.
I think we could do a double flying V. We could do the scissor. We could do, this is like more of a vape niche kind of light. I think people would fucking dig it, dude. I think people would tune the fuck in. And then, I always felt bad over these last few months that I didn't do more. I mean, I haven't done shit, so it's not personal. But I didn't do more to like help me give you the boost that you gave me on Instagram and on YouTube. Like, hey, this guy's coming up, check out his shit. And I never reciprocated that when you were low. You know what I'm saying? So
you were in a pissy little down place, pouting on yourself. No offense. When
You're right.
When YouTube hit the ship for me, yeah. But
You're right.
I've gone through fucking everything I can do through at that, so it's a lost cause. But yes, I appreciate the acknowledgement.
That's all I'm trying to say, dude. I didn't do the right thing back then. I should have made a dedicated video, even if it was 1 minute long. Hey guys, Growmau5, don't feel like making a video today. Green Gene got shut down and he's back up. And I felt bad about that for months. So
I'm
acknowledge.
so like, everyone got their channel back. Fucking everyone has gotten their channel back, but me. And I don't know if it's because I took too much action too quick and I changed, like I went straight out. I don't know. I have a lot of theories, but it ain't coming back. I'm gonna be like a Mr. Tight, come back harder if I do, which is actually interesting because now with my growth so quick from the start, it's kind of helped me out as far as the algorithm's concerned. But I still got to put in the time to get back where we were.
All right, cool. So we're doing big things.
I'm not bitter. A lot of people, I don't. If people say like, "What's up with you and Gene?" That's just them asking. There's nothing up with,
This business is funny, dude. It's I don't want to turn this into a bitch fest, but you very quickly encounter all the memes you read about on the internet. Like they want to see you do well, just not as well as them. When you become a threat financially, you become a threat. Like a big time threat, you become an enemy. When you become a threat, you become an enemy. And differences.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, and just differences in personality. Some people will be very direct with you, and you know where you stand. Other people, you think you stand on their good side when the whole time, they've had a difference of opinion with you, and you find some things out quick, you find some things out slow. So I think for me, just kind of pulling back altogether and just focusing here on work, as opposed to being out in social is kind of what it was about for me when YouTube crashed. It really scared the shit out of me. So, but I am ready to get things back to the way they used to be. And talking about it isn't going to make that happen. It's going to be collabs. It's going to be builds. It's going to be grows. It's going to be grow offs. You know what I'm saying? Like grow competition. So we just, if we want to get this shit back to the way it was on YouTube in this community, we got to kind of lead the charge in content or innovative content or something. I don't know. That's how I feel.
I had some plans for the live, so that's going to have to wait till February. But I have a couple live stream plans more consistently and some things. But I'm kind of in the opposite boat as where you've gotten some more help recently. PLC's almost downsized and gotten spread out. I've been so fucking busy, like it's just unreal with stupid stuff. Like I'll spend the whole day just trying to get the website up to par. Why instead,
Yes.
My fucking time.
The website is down. The website is down, dude. Oh my God, I can't. Yeah. Okay, we're not. Let's not go in there. Let me ask you this though. Who answers your emails, your customer service emails? Do you answer them? You do. So when
Joe, guys, you either get a response.
Okay. Apparently we got shut down. I'd imagine Mouse would get his way back here. I don't know if that was just it just said Instagram done. I didn't really see a heads up, so maybe yeah, Mouse okay, I got you, bro.
We're coming. I think we just went too long. I think that was just Instagram saying, hey, dude, get off live. But we're back. 32 strips on a 4x8. Whoever just asked that, run through the chat.
Yeah, I just got cut. I thought it was the hour was up.
I didn't see a heads up, but it gave me the option to share it and all that. So it must have been it timed me out or something.
Maybe we're sucking up twice the bandwidth, so it got cut to 30 minutes, you know?
Oh, that'd be it, actually. Honestly, that would be something they do. Either way, we're back. Where were we at?
Oh, I was asking about customer service bullshit, but now
yeah, it's either me or Joe that answer the emails. And a lot of times, even if you get an email from Joe, I probably wrote it and just responded as Joe.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. So now we've called the shot. I mean, I brought it up publicly so that we can be held accountable for the ideas or the shit that I just signed you up for without really asking you privately. But I think you're down, dude, because I'm down, and it just call to action, you know, like people will fucking keep asking if we don't get started on it. So be thinking over the holidays, dude. I'll order some 80/20 shit. What do you use, 20 mil or 25/25?
I got 10 series. That's 25/25, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's series is, yeah. Well, no, see, so
10
a 10 series could refer to the thickness of the gauge of the extrusion, but typically it's like things that are 10x10, 20x20, 30x30, multiples of 10. You know what I'm saying? Whereas 25 series could be like, for example, let me go to 8020.net because I've looked for definitions. I've read definitions of this. This should be the type of shit I'm making a video about, not the kind of shit I'm unsure about. But let me just get some decent exposure here. But
yeah, that's what I thought. I was almost 100%. 10 series was 1 inch.
Okay, so let's just select right out of the gate.
That's what I thought. I could be off. Growmau5 says 10 series is 1 inch, and my 10 series that I have right here is 25 and change millimeters, so roughly about an inch.
So according to 8020.net, many could argue the originator of, you know, the adult erector set that other people just call aluminum extrusions. This is the name brand. This is the crescent wrench of adjustable wrenches here. I just clicked 10 series. Everything 10 series is not fractional, right? So it's 2 inch by 4 inch, still a 10 series. 1 inch by 1 inch, 10 series. 1 inch by 3 inch, 10 series. So, you know, if we go, actually, let me just clear all real quick, just from my knowledge and everybody else's. I mean, we need to be talking the same language here, not for EPing, but just so we're communicating the right shit in emails.
Don't want to have a fucking space station issue again and symmetric material shit. Yeah.
Totally, dude. So, you know, when I click on...
I believe that's the major difference between 25 series and 10 series. I believe 10 series is set up for 1/4 inch more than 6 mil, or 8 mil. I could be wrong on that, though. Either way.
Interesting. 10 series, when I clicked it, it was all imperial, no fractions. When I click 50 series, I've got all fractional, integrals of 25, or multiples of 25, I should say. Multiples of 25. And look, here's even a half of 25, 12.5. So yeah, it's hard to say. I'll tell you two things though. 30 mil is the next class up in price, right? Like it gets a little crazy there.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it depends on how long you're going is really what it comes down to. Like for these are 20-inch cuts. You could use fucking 10 millimeter and it would be sufficient for what it is. But the 1 inch is fine as far as rigidity is concerned, and even the 40-inch. But I don't use 80/20 very much. You know, PLC, we just have our housings completely built.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that in this age of like aluminum extrusions were more expensive per gram or per pound than your average aluminum. But now that the pressures, there's not as much margin, you know, on aluminum because, you know, it's just getting expensive. So now when you compare the weight from like something like this, you know, like a proper extrusion to just a C channel, per pound is the same price now.
Mhm.
So
yeah, you really don't pay for, if it's a stock mold, you really aren't paying too much from people these days.
that's the point,
Yeah.
right? You're not paying extra for the geometry. You're just paying for the weight.
Just push it out and sell it by the pound. Kilo.
So that's kind of, that's like reinvigorated my interest in aluminum extrusions like this, because you can get this badass rigid geometry that actually does something that you don't have to drill. But look at the dramatic difference in beefiness and girth, dude, in this 25 millimeter. It just happens to be black. I didn't pull a black one out because anything about girth.
What's the weight difference going from a 1-inch profile to a 30 mil? How much weight you add?
From a 1-inch up to a 30 mil?
Yeah, so you're adding that 5 extra mils onto the profile.
It seems, so
6, whatever, 5.5. Yeah.
that's where I get confused about some of the series, because I happen to have a 30 mil here that weighs less, or approximately the same, just slightly less, the 30 mil than the 25. The 25 mil has more well, look at the holes, right? We got this 10 mil massive hole in the center. We got 4 corner holes. Is that coming in okay?
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm sitting under a 300 watt fucking light right now, just blinding myself.
So the weight is the same, but there is a price jump due to the complexity of the die and the center. They must have a lower yield or something of, I'm just bullshitting at this point, but this 30 mil that I'm measuring weighs approximately the same per inch as this 25.
Well, that would make sense, because those holes are going to run down that profile, right? Or those aren't.
Yep, they run all the way through, and that center hole is pretty large.
Yeah. So they're
we're
okay. So it's just bigger, but it's got bigger, stronger angles too. So
it's definitely more torsionally rigid. I don't know about like bend force, but I will tell you the best bang for the buck, dude. $7 a meter on Amazon for this 2020. And this, the devil's in the hardware with this shit. And this is the cheapest hardware you're going to find, is the stuff that fits the 6 mil slot 2020.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I have for the 10 series. I'm using 10 series, and it was equally as cheap. I couldn't actually, I think the reason I pulled the trigger on the 10 was because it compared to the 25 was equal for my price. I grabbed some from T-Nuts. I grabbed some from 80/20. I haven't pulled the trigger on anything from Amazon. I've played with the economy sliders. They worked really well. I figured everyone with the build would like those, but if you're really going to do it, use some real T-Nuts.
Okay, I think this is what it comes down to. Whether you're using the 20 series that you're using, or excuse me, the 10 series that you're using, which is 1 inch by 1 inch, or you're using this Amazon shit, as long as you have a 6 mil slot, you get the cheap hardware. When you start going up into the bigger slots, like this 8 mil slot, that's when shit starts getting really pricey. I'm talking, I think I paid 30 cents. No, I think it was 69 cents per hammer nut, as opposed to $8 for a 100 pack, right? So
yeah, if you go economy, it's like something like they'll charge you 12 cents for the nut and for like an 8 millimeter nut and economy T-washer.
Yeah, like these 8 mil ones, I think these were 27 cents, and the economy was like maybe 12 or 15. But anyway, point being, 6 millimeter slot is what you want, regardless of if you're 10 series or 20 or whatever, right?
Yep, that's what I got.
Dude, check out how organized my shit is, bro. Hey, peep game on this, dude.
Oh my God.
I got drop-ins in an M3, M4, M5. I got slide-ins in an M4, M5. I got roll-ins with the spring detent in an M4 and an M5. I got 8 millimeter for, because you're going to bottom out. I got 10 millimeter when you need that little, you short 2 mils, you're just trying to get deep in it.
I've got 15, bro.
Oh, I got some 15s too.
Yeah.
But they're tapered, dude.
Attaching the heat sinks. But
hinges. I think I got these from T-Nut. No, T-Nut sells. Okay, I got these from Amazon. I regretted it. The ones from T-Nuts are much higher quality cast.
Are those the zinc ones?
These are those zinc. They even press the back to reduce the weight. They're pretty shit. They'll crack.
Yeah, no. I actually, like I said, I'm interested in the dynamic pivot. It's a little bulky. It's definitely pricey as fuck, but it's if I was going to make a hinging system that had any weight to it, that's probably what I'd use.
Yeah, I'm getting into this shit. So back to the build. So I think we could do something cool. And I mean, we won't go crazy, but this isn't like the.
No, I mean, honestly, that design, what you're talking about there, the little, like the intersection build there, that one looks pretty damn good.
Okay, here's my idea. Okay.
The intersection build.
We figure out a way to make it a tight, closed little flower, a little bud of photons, right? Maybe we could figure out a way to make this approximately 2 feet,
Are we
right?
talking E-piece, like any kind of angular, or are we still talking flat plane?
Well, we're still talking, dude. The fucking sky's the limit at this point. We're just words.
All right.
This bitch could blossom out and expand from a 24 by 24. Now, I've got it drawn on a diagonal, but it could be this, use your square for square, but like it could start out tight. These could be telescopic, or these could be telescopic, or some adjustment to allow you to increase your spread, and then have another axis maybe to make it like an umbrella. Imagine this thing. Okay, so this is from, looking at the bottom of the light or whatever. But if you look at it from the side, it could be umbrella to.
That's what I'm saying. Like an umbrella is a good way. Yeah, I was saying teepee, but umbrella, where we actually have angles to the bars. And I mean, I guess you could probably pivot the pin heat sinks as well too, easily.
It would essentially be like when an alien needs to impregnate your mouth to make another alien, like inside your stomach, before that little hand kind of comes out.
Starfish, like just
yeah,
eating.
or a starfish.
Yeah, it's a little less manly, but that's what I'm feeling here.
Or a starfish.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's all right. Either way, I've got wheels a turning.
But I think it's cheap enough to where I supply my shit, you supply your shit, and we buy some 80/20. We're not going to go broke doing it. I don't think anybody else is going to go broke doing it. Maybe we have to spend, $40-50 worth of hardware and some pivots, or, omit it if you're on that tight of a budget. But, just something that would inspire us to want to, get out of bed in the morning and not just slap some LEDs on a piece of metal, Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just, kind of kick it up a notch.
No, for the Grow-nonymouses out there who can't just make a regular build, who have to just go above and beyond, I agree. We should do something novelty-ish, to a sense. Even though it will not have a novelty effect. I imagine whatever the fuck we build with a 600-watt system with that is going to grow a lot of dank. But yeah,
I think so too. And we could both use it, which would be cool, because it would be...
That I find very interesting.
Well, think about this,
I think the roundtable grow-off thing was one of the most, I don't know, people could relate so much, and they were just so into it, and really, like, they had, they were rooting for each person. It was fun, and I don't think we've had anything. I don't know if we can ever do it again, but it would be fun to do something, even if it's just you and me on there.
It could start as us, and it could, some other folks go want to join in while we're in veg or something.
Yeah, build it up, and, clones may make it to them somehow. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened in the West Coast. But yeah, we could detail every fastener, right?
Sign me up. I can commit to that without any forewarning. You're good ambushing me.
All right. If there's anything that needs to be like fabbed, I'll fab it to that we have consistency.
Equality. Okay, I like that. That's good, because my wife doesn't want to give me her 3D printer.
Oh, she has one?
She doesn't have one, but she's got the shop, and she can go work at any time, and she doesn't want to waste her time for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, is that what that is behind you? Is that a pick and place, or is that a 3D printer?
I
noticed. Oh wow. Okay, badass. Yeah. I own a pick and place.
6 months. I saw on your stream the other day you picked up a little bigger one. This is just a desktop machine, but allows me to make prototypes.
This will never work.
No.
No. I contacted the company.
This one to work.
Somebody took the robotic arm. That's all they took. Mm-hmm. And the replacement part is $4,600 from the company. I could get a brand new, not brand new, a China one from eBay for like $7,600, like with modern software, not from 2003 software. So that thing's a donor machine, but fuck it. A boy can dream.
Part it out. The stand, you probably use the stand for something cool.
It's 11 gauge steel.
Yeah, it looked like it had a nice little compartment there.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, the power supply. Oh my God. You should see the power supply on this thing. Before I forget though, I mean, you've pretty much been letting out some industry secrets tonight. So I don't feel like I can hold back. You know, I mean, you woke the dragon, dude. You woke the dragon. So, these are official numbers directly from Samsung. They're not complete. This is from Samsung's Sphere. So, you know, this is from the Samsung reps directly from their engineering department, from their Sphere on site. The best efficacy is coming out of the 6500, unfortunately. But this is at binning conditions, as you know, 65 milliamps a chip. And, you know, that's where we're at, guys. We're almost hitting 3 micromoles per joule. And this is what worries me about my new Fluence that I bought. It is not a 1-to-2 ratio anymore. It is now 2 5000Ks per every 1 3000K. With the addition of the red, yeah, I've got a high efficacy. But as you know, but as many people may not realize, efficacy applies to any photon in the PAR range. That doesn't mean their allocation is optimal for flowering. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Gene, but the last time I checked, you know, 400 with another 0 to 700 nanometers was the PAR range, right? If you have 2.7 micromoles of photons here versus 2.7 micromoles per joule of photons here, what are you going to select, A or B?
Well, so most people are going to select B currently.
I mean, if I'm trying to grow bud, I'm going to select B.
See, so the thing is Fluence, does Fluence still have that conformal coating on there too?
Yeah, let me check. Now, again, I just want to be real clear because we got 115 people in here. This is by no means an attempt to discredit or dissuade anyone from purchasing the new Fluence 2i, whatever the $1,500 more efficient is. I'm saying I don't know.
Well, the other thing is that 3K you just showed, that was an SK bin, it said. So, you know,
yeah, what's that, mid?
That's mid. So there's SLs or there's SK. So like you know, but then again, you could have a low voltage SK that may not be in the flux bin, but it's in the efficiency and it's still hitting, like, I think it's the SK, what is it? The AY is basically just as good as the SLAZ and it's better than the SLA1. So, you know, it's all splitting hairs, and that's what it comes down to.
It is, but Fluence could have access to the SLs, and so due to their buying power.
They do, because I get a ton of them. Even when I order SKs, I get a ton of them. I mean, it's not like half and half, but I'm happy with the distribution they're giving of SLs. So it makes me confident that there's definitely even possibly another bin that they may not advertise, or maybe they've been setting aside for the horticultural one so it can stay up at par even with any kind of like whatever their anti-sulfurization coating is on it. I don't know. That's all speculation, but that's just what I can possibly think of.
Speaking of coatings, my thoughts of maybe returning this one are now officially over. Somebody, not me, but somebody deconformaled the conformal coating. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I hope this silicone's not damaged. But yeah, the conformal coating looks to be much more consistent than their old model. Now, I have a very small sample size, but
I was going to say they had a few issues, but it wasn't very large. I mean, I would imagine that's just natural production for them. But that's what I'm saying. Fluence, as much as they are a big company and we can make a light just as well, they offer an overall really quality product, and it seems to do what it does. And with Gavita coming into it now, it's just really coming down to you're getting quality parts from multiple vendors in, you know, some good quality designs with pros and cons on each side of them, and consistency across the board. And it's also like with Gavita supporting white red right out of the gates, like not once did they even bring up a blurple. That's good stuff to see.
That reinforces what I felt, and it makes my feelings and beliefs a known, right? Yes. We're talking about the Hawthorne Group, Monsanto.
Growing with white reds, but you know, now it's industry standard.
But think about the resources that the Hawthorne Group has to own subsidiaries like Monsanto and subsidiaries like Gavita. they're not going into this half-cocked. They're not looking on Alibaba and looking on YouTube to figure out what diode choice they're going to use. I would imagine they have the resources to come at this with the best possible efficacy and the best spectrum allocation for, you know, those photons. And they basically designed a product that you and I have been using, you know, for a very long time, a warm white base with some red on it, you know? So,
well, and
just
for Gavita's sake, they put quite a bit of diodes on that thing. I was really surprised with their diode count, and that's so
how
like
many
I want to say like 400
per bar?
Per bar, yeah. So
Times 6 bars, 2,400.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's going to take. That's approximately. I could go downstairs and do the math. I think the old
to maintain that system level efficacy with the conformal coating at the driver. That's what I'm saying. Like, it takes a lot.
Okay, so here's a big takeaway moment for the consumer in this chat, 119 of them. You know, obviously, Green Gene and I are both in business to make money selling LED grow lights, but we can tell you definitively, look at the top end of the market. Look at anybody. To hit 2.5, 2.6 micromoles per joule, it takes about 22 to 2,400 Samsungs. So when you're sitting out there in IG land, and there's some new revolution.
It's going to take you 2.8 and change at the chip level to maintain 2.6 at the system. And that's not including any kind of major optics, which those companies, I will give them credit, are throwing shitty optics onto their units. Well, at least Gavita's, they got nothing going for them. It's only hurting them. And they're still producing some solid numbers.
I agree with you in spirit, but I'm not making those definitive kind of statements anymore about multi-billion-dollar companies without firm data. Let's put it that way. But I think a diffusion optic was a very interesting move by Monsanto Gavita.
I don't even think it's a diffusion. Is it even a diffusion? It doesn't even look like a diffusion. It just looks like clear.
It could be
opaque. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing that I see this optic doing other than covering their ass from people touching it.
Well, Eric from LED Grow Lights Depot is making the best, unbiased, full coverage videos.
On the 401 on the diode count, I believe I actually got it from him. LED Grow Light Depot, we're talking, right?
Yeah, Eric, and he's doing a really, really good job. I'm not criticizing him, but I do think the whole community would get a lot of value if we did a Kickstarter or a Patreon or something for a macro lens for him. You know, I would love to see some tight end shots of that optic. Is it frosted? Is it diffusion? Is it clear? You know,
dude, it was go on that video. It was pretty good. I could see it all over.
Okay, well maybe I'm wrong, but the guy's fucking awesome. He's doing a great job.
One of my sly comments that I'm sure you make behind your breath too. You're looking at that video going, look at all that fucking dust on that lens, like, and it's still pushing 2.7. Did they clean that before they threw that in the you know, like, that's obviously, like, shit's gonna happen in transit. You can't do it. But anyway, I actually thought he was pretty good. Granted, you could obviously get better with a macro lens, but
let me tell just real quick. I want to just say, touching back on Fluence, you know, I agree with your sentiments exactly. Fluence knows what they're doing. They're a market leader. They're not just throwing darts at a dartboard. They have thousands and thousands of lights out in qualified growers' hands, and I would imagine they're getting feedback from them. They are not infallible, though.
At the 2012 Max Yield show, when I was working with Apache, and he came to the booth and saw the Apache, and his mind was absolutely blown away that it was white and red.
Who, Nix was back when he was making BML lights?
This was BML, fresh off his Illumatex, fresh off his non-compete, first way back into the horticulture, Blurple Central, super hot bars. It was passive, you know. It was, anyway. That was. Are
you leading towards bringing up the unicorn farts comment again?
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah, you fucking dick.
If you remember what page that was on, I've been trying to find it intermittently. I really want to find it.
Dude, easy. I'll get that done tonight.
Was it on my thread?
No,
or it was on somebody else's?
I'm pretty sure it was probably on the Green Genes Garden, either the 1,000-watt comparable. It was because it's early, so it'd be like the 1,000-watt grow, the 1,000-watt versus Apache, possibly. Either way, I would just put unicorn fart and then your Growmau5 name in the buy, and it should pull right up.
Which is funny because it's such an infrequent hit, unicorn fart. I think that was circa spring 2015, if I'm if memory
Yeah,
serves me.
he came on all hot to trot. This was before Mouse even DIY'd, and he was like, I got a Fluence, and I'm from fucking Texas, and this shit's the shit. And I remember that, and I never said it was a bad light, but you were very defensive of it right away. Granted, I understand and whatever, but yeah, I totally remember that day.
Can we explore
anyway,
that for
I
a
remember
second?
showing him the Apache and what we were doing, he was like, why white? And this and that. It was just like, boom, and now to see that is what he's making his, whole company founded on. I doubt they even deal with too many of the more monochromatic spectrums these days, except for like specialty places that are requesting it.
Well,
it's
let's
interesting to see how the world has evolved, and I've always tried to stay neutral until PLC, and even that, you guys all know I'm super neutral. Like I don't try to push PLC right now or anything, but like the information I give is just real, especially in the live things. But at the end of the day, yeah, Fluence is a big company, and they're doing a lot. But we have to acknowledge that they're doing that, and they're verifying and acknowledging and kind of certifying in a sense what we've, like I said, we've been growing with for 5-6 years now.
They're validating us because they probably one report, anonymous report, it could be 100% incorrect, but one anonymous report told me that Osram bought Fluence for $120 million, which was a little bit less than 3 years worth of gross sales. But that can't be confirmed. Call it a rumor. But when we're dealing in the, how many figures is that, 9-figure category? These guys aren't calling up Alibaba and getting multi-band LED, 11-band LED, your choice, custom spectrum blend, we rebrand. They're not doing that shit. They've got growth chambers. They're testing out spectra. But, I'm sure they've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands to reach a conclusion that most DIYers are at. That they've been at since 2014. And that's not to take anything away from Gavita, Monsanto, and Fluence. It's just to say that, like, there's only so many ways to skin a cat, and the linear bar, which you have to credit to Nick at Fluence or BML, is one of the biggest innovations in LED grow light history. Top 5 for sure.
And I credit it 100% to Illumitex, not Nick.
Yeah, but Illumitex
was the founder of it. But I will say that, just like the credit of Samsung, I give that to Fluence and Nextlight, the implementation of Samsung first. But
no, Steve at HLG discovered Samsung first.
Of course he did, bro.
No, that's a rip. I'm just joking, Steve. I'm just joking. We've actually come
the roll it up things. That was a big thing. And yes, it was
Steve,
Nextlight and Fluence have been using Samsungs for a long, long time before any of this newer movement of QBs. But they've done great. Speaking of them, they've done great for themselves, and we don't always get along. But like, hats off to you guys if you guys end up watching this stream, because you've done well with the QBs. Yeah.
I can't make my HLG gang sign with one hand, but I still got HLGs in the house, dude. I mean, how can you talk shit about a QB and not simultaneously talk shit about a Logic Puck or a PLC strip? Samsung's a Samsung's a Samsung. We're just trying to get with the big dogs like Fluence and like, Gavita, Monsanto, and put a little bit of...
I don't know if you remember Tech Talk 2, but it's deleted now thanks to YouTube. But Tech Talk 2, I made a statement of a bunch of people using crappy mid-power diodes. And I said, it has nothing to do with it. Intensity is density, and we were talking about enough extremely, extremely efficient, shitty pips, but run them so low that they were efficient, you could actually make a good light. It's just really hard to get that density. Nowadays, we have those chips in fantastic efficiency, which makes our TV, just by the efficiency, almost 4 times better than it was back then. Wow, that is an old school bar. BML, Build My LED. For those of you who don't know, that is the original Fluence bar. Well, not Fluence, the original Build My LED, who eventually sold or changed their name to Fluence Bioscience and now sold to Osram.
Not only that, but this was their trade show model from their first couple trade shows. This was their 350 watt model, Spider 600. It was a true replacement for a 600 watt. Stats on this thing, mine actually pulled closer to 348 watts than 330. So they must have had it tuned up. This has an HLG 320-36A in it. It has the equivalent of 5 channels worth of like a Meanwell LDD essentially about a 1450 milliamp drive current across these bars, so 6.7 amps. Or yeah, no, it was more like 8.8 amps spread, 1400. So 1400 milliamps, just like a Cobb. They were able to push 1.7 micromoles out of this mostly Osram dominated fixture through diffusion optics on the tiniest heat sink. I never confirmed if this was metal core or fiberglass, but the
I was
heat
going to
sink
say,
is
if they were using fiberglass as Fluence, you would imagine that's probably fiberglass in there. Not to, can't confirm it.
I don't know. I think this is metal core, and I think they ultimately went to fiberglass as a money savings technique to drive profits, to increase value, to have a higher, look more attractive to a corporate investor. Now that's me 100% expressing an opinion, but this fucking light performed, bro.
Probably pretty accurate.
I got 20 ounces consistently with this light. The highest I ever got was like maybe 21 and a half ounces dry sellable product with this 350 watt light.
How much that thing cost back in the day? Like 2,300. Well, not that one, but they were up there. They were competing with Apache prices.
Here's my beef. Fluence you will never get a deal on a Fluence. The deals on Fluences are posted on their website and they start at quantity 10. You ain't getting a deal on a one-off on a Fluence. It just ain't gonna happen. This light was list price $10.99. That's $1,100 new. It had been to a trade show. It was missing the bottom panel. It had scratches on it. He gave me $50 off. I went into their office in Austin, Texas and picked it up. And I thought, God damn, motherfucker, $50 off. I just wanted it. Otherwise, I'd have to wait 6 weeks. They were to have a waitlisted product back then for $1,100 and get $50 off for a trade show unit. I took it and smiled, but I didn't like it. Hey, you know what I'm saying?
I bought 14 Apache AT120s for $800 a piece. Yeah, that did me a lot of good.
Wait. Repeat that again, because that was a $2,300 light back in the day, wasn't it?
No, the 120. So this was before we made the 600. I was brought on to make the 600. We had grows with the 120s, lined out the ass. We said, Andre, fucking break these lenses up, spread them out, and give me like 20, 24 of them on a big frame. He's like, oh, I couldn't do that. They bought heat sinks or did something, got stuck in something. So they put the 4 into the bigger frame, and that became 660. But I had spent, I forget what it was, but we were, like I said, 14 lights at 800 or 850 a piece, and at the time being told, they're 600 watt comparables. Granted, you know how that goes. But and that was the beginning. That was like 2011, 2010.
There was a fundamental shift in price from like at the dawn of 2014. It was like half the price of 2011. Oh, was it? Okay.
Like 2013 to 2014, that was also the DIY revolution really kind of came into it there. Right.
Just volumes, dude. Sync USA, DigiKey.
So, yeah.
I mean, it allowed gigs up. We can't charge $118 for a CXA 3070 anymore like we are on mouse.
People were paying $100 for a CXA 3070.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm getting $35.90 top bins for you can get them for like $20. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude. You guys out there looking for a deal? Verical, VERICAL.
Just division of Arrow, correct?
That's correct. It's their closeout site. So you might have to go for a 3000K 90 CRI, or you might have to go for that 4000K 70 CRI, and you got to buy 24 minimum quantity. But we're talking if you don't care that much for veg or supplement, or are you just getting into this, you could save some money on Verical, dude. And don't be just because it's the flagship, right? The Vero 29, the Luminous, CMX 22, the
20, yeah,
whatever their flagship is.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
You can buy Vero 18, you can buy CXA, you can buy CXB 3070, you can buy these chips that might not be the flagship. And to be honest with you guys, I mean, all this stuff is awesome and fun to talk about, but
you're splitting hairs. At the end of the day, over the canopy, you're splitting hairs. Even in the sphere, you're splitting hairs.
You are splitting hairs unless your room's fucking dialed, right? If you're still going in and manually doing adjustments like opening vents in the morning, and you know, closing them at night when it's cold. If you're, you know, if you're not dialed that way, like environment newts, at least to some baseline level of stability and consistency, 2.0 micromoles and 2.7 micromoles isn't going to mean a goddamn thing to you if you're, you know, still flipping vents and stuff. And that's not, I'm not trying to big dick anybody. I'm just saying, you know, be realistic with where you're at.
That's like the guy who says he out yields his 1,000 watters with his 600 watts. It's because you're fucking not, because you're running on your level with your 600 watts.
I'd buy that, right? Like
Yeah.
you're at 600, you at that performance level, that photosynthetic rate, you know how to treat the plant nutrition wise. You've got the BTUs to handle the 600 watts.
Minute you step up to 1,000, the rest of your game's dialed for a 600 watt, 600 watt input system, or however what that would be, 1,100 micromole input output system.
Yep.
And, yeah, that's so on and so on. The same thing we're talking about there.
And you're on a roller coaster ride, right? You might hit high with that 1,000, or you might hit really low, you know, a quarter gram per watt. But just touching back really quick, I do, you know, like I said, we're competitors, everything. I feel like I've been extremely complimentary of the Fluence, and I do want to let people know that, you know, I think the form factor is a bit larger. I think for the people deploying 100 of these, they're really going to appreciate the folding, mechanism, because it does take a long time, especially when you're doing 20 or more of these babies, to actually build them. So I think that's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, I always found that very interesting that they were doing that. I remember watching the Jungle Boys do that when they got their first shipment. They were not happy about that.
Yeah. And, you know, and they had a respectable amount. Imagine these videos you see on YouTube where they have 200 of these things on multi-tiers. I mean, you got to bring in a 4 or 5 man crew for a full weekend just to build the fucking light out of the fucking box. Now, there are a couple more positives. Like I said, Fluence knows what they're doing. They're not infallible. Their former conformal coating was, it was good. It left some areas to be desired. Most notably that they conformally coated over this snap-in plastic reflector, and that was a fail point. You know, fiberglass, aluminum, plastic are all going to have different expansion rates, and we did see some delamination, and even one dedicated website, I won't mention the name, that's still up today from a bad experience. But the new conformal coating seems much better, much higher quality. It does not appear to cover. Well, it is slightly covering the phosphor, but it does not encroach up on the silicone of the reds. So I'd say excellent quality. I'd say the extrusion definitely has a nice profile where gnats can roll off of it, and upper tiers could potentially, drip off of this. Yeah, it's just a nice geometry. But there are some downsides to this light. Most notably, the kind of stuff that your IKEA bed frame is made from is the steel ends here. They are folded up, but the fold job is not a 90 degrees on every one. They're a little kind of bendy. There's a lot of plastic on this light. There's a lot of plastic.
Rigidity over it, over the heat sink.
Here's the thing, guys. I do have to address these things, and I think that you should probably, if this light is in your running, you should consider buying this light. I think this is going to be a great product. I think it's going to grow some great bud for you. But just know going in that the build quality I would rate at about a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10, because it's not even close to a tank. Yeah. There's a lot of plastic on the light. And the big thing, this is where they got me. This is where my pain point came in. For the guys doing multi-tier, have a great time. Mount it at 4 points. The hinge folds the other way. You're going to be perfectly flat. And you know what? You even have the little bit of ability to kind of do a close the book. But when you talk about your one-off guys, the guys hanging out in here for the most part, they're going to buy one light. You're expected to take these pieces of plastic. I guess it's polycarbonate. Is it ABS or PC?
And that
it's PC. It's PC. It's polycarbonate. So very high melting point, very high quality, excellent choice of plastics. But this is $1,500. Like, and then you clip this thing, and the driver locks in with this plastic on plastic bullshit. Locks into the driver. I would love to return this light.
Isolation. I guess I would provide a little like thermal isolation, not being any kind of metal. But
dude, I know you're trying to play devil's advocate, but You buy a $1,500 product and you're like, stick this plastic in this metal hole and turn it a quarter. This is IKEA shit here, guys. I'm sorry.
So what I would expect for that, so the price point is still at 15 then for those new ones?
This is the $1,500, not the $1,350 one.
Okay, so they make a $1,350. Do they make one better than or more expensive than that one? Do you have the like middle one? I know there's a few models.
No, I have the highest tier, which is the $1,500 model. That's
still 15. Okay, so then the other one they're offering is 13. All right, that's more in the zone.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, dude. You got to be at 1,300 for a 4x4 light, and you got to be over 600 watts. Otherwise, you're just a child's toy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even with the PLC6, we set up the rooms accordingly for PPF, but like to get over 600 watts, really those extra 60 watts, especially at the efficacy that we're putting out these days, it does make a difference.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it could be another quarter pound or more.
Oh yeah, and for lights, so that's why like I said, I have a list I've been telling people of like, if you need a light today and you're pulling the trigger, whatever. But also, I've gotten a few people, especially because we deal so much in the commercial for a lot of the PLC with the PLC6 and the 330 and things, that it's like, people, they want 300 lights, and you say, okay, I can do that in 8 to 10 weeks, and they go, wait, what? You want 300 lights, man, and I'm sorry, I don't have that stocked and ready to go, and I'm not going to put that out financially for you. And then the other, and then they go, oh, well, whatever, and then they go to Fluence, and they're like, oh, well, then we'll just go Fluence, and then 3 weeks later they're kind of back like, oh, well, yeah, you're still underselling them, and yeah, they're at 8 weeks too. So I think a lot of people don't realize the stock, even for these big companies, especially on the bigger orders. You guys got to pre-order and kind of be on top of your stuff, especially if you got a decent sized facility you want to deck out kind of instantly, and everyone wants that instant gratification, but it doesn't matter who you are, who you're dealing with in these industry. Like even the biggest guys out there, they've got a hefty lead time.
Which brings us back to the genesis of this conversation. If you want Powerland drivers, good luck. I think Fluence Osram is a big enough customer that they would take a long-term relationship with FSP and monopolize Powerland and be a big enough customer to satisfy their current manufacturing capability. And Mouser and Future and DigiKey and you and me is going to have a hell of a time getting these drivers, let alone the one-off hobbyist guy that heard this stream and thinks he's getting a Powerland 600.
It's the one-off hobbyist that's going to be there.
Yeah, they're going to struggle on the DIY side.
I can see, I don't think that's going to happen with Fluence and Powerland.
You don't?
No, from what I understand from my distributor, Powerland's doing just fine. Fluence is a big customer of theirs, but they do well.
Well, maybe you and I should seriously talk after, tomorrow or after the holidays about pooling orders, because my guy just gave me an 8-week lead time on these drivers at an excellent price. But, 8-week lead time at the soonest. Powerland did not answer either of our emails, direct emails.
I met with,
I don't know, dude. We might be able to save some money by pooling orders, like a fuckload of money, getting to the next purchasing power tier.
I was going to say that next purchasing power tier is up there. So yeah.
Okay, that's we'll talk about that later. But again, like I said, just capping this thing off, I don't know how well it's going to work. This is the 2i, okay, guys. The 2P is the $1,300 one. This is the $1,500 one. This is a fundamental shift for Fluence. It's a fundamental shift towards a blurple light. Now, hear me out. It's blurple in that 2/3 of the diode are 5,000K. This is all 5,000K. 5,000, 5,000, 3,000, 5,000, 3,000, 5,000, 5,000. So the ratio is strong 5,000K, okay, the B in blurple, with a lot of red. We're talking 80 reds. So that's full blurple. The 3,000K are brought in about a 30%, 33% ratio, strictly to fill the accessory pigments, the reds, amber red, and a little bit of the deep red, as a 3,000K would. So this is a fundamental shift from the 2P. 2Ps and 2Is are slightly different spectra, but it's not just that 0.2 micromoles you're paying for. I think you're paying for a connoisseur light aimed at driving more photons in the high energy secondary metabolite flavonoid range with this light at a very high efficacy. And I honestly think the 2P and the 2I are going to yield the exact same. And I think that a side-by-side needs to be done. I'm not buying another light, but if we could put a fucking Kickstarter and you guys buy me one.
I want to buy a Gavita if I'm going to buy one, but
well, that's the thing that gets us into the kind of one of the not final, but something I'd really like to discuss here. And am I taking over?
No,
final thoughts. 2 thoughts on the Fluence. I bought one to look at it, to see what the industry leaders, arguably the most successful self-built LED company is doing. They did a great job at Build My LED Aquarium. They did a great job at Build My LED Horticulture. They grew Fluence into a massive company. They were able to produce a very high quality light. They did cut a few corners with fiberglass boards and going from Meanwell to Powerland, which now we see is more of a sidestep, but they were able to bolster their value and get bought out by one of the lighting companies that I admire up tippy top. Cree, Osram, my 2 tied #1 most admired. So I'm extremely happy for what Nick and the whole Fluence team have done. And they were really ahead of the pack on these Trump tariffs on aluminum. They've already got a light that's already mostly plastic, and there's no tariff on plastic. And I don't say that as a knock. It's the truth. We got a 27-pound light here. We got about roughly 18 pounds of that. Let's see, each of these was 2.5. So that's with the PCB. So that's 7. This about 15 of the 27 pounds is aluminum. We got about an 8-pound driver here. So that's 23.
100-gram heat sinks, basically, roughly.
Yeah, I think we weighed them out with the PCB. Long story short, a little bit of aluminum, a little bit of steel, and a lot of polycarbonate plastic. And so it's brilliant. If it doesn't impede performance, if it's only build quality, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No fasteners on the PCB, just plastic clips to hold them in. So it's kind of a chintzy product, if I'm honest. That's what I was getting to. It's a chinsily built product. It puts the maximum amount of your dollars into photon generation. And that's what it is. You want the max photons, the max efficacy, or you want something built with 50 pounds of aluminum that's going to last until World War V. So that's just the truth about this light. I am going to run this light and, see how it goes. It's not going to necessarily be a side-by-side. I just want to see what is the 2i capable of, and I think it's going to have the same yield as a 2p. I think the photon allocation here is, you're getting 2.7 micromoles, but those photons are allocated lot in the.
That's the I. What's the P's efficacy? 2.5.
2.25. But I will say this. I'd like to see a sphere test. I think based on my calculations, based on their currents, based on Samsung's sphere numbers and Osram's sphere numbers direct from company representatives, I clocked them in at closer to 2.65, and I think they're rounding up to 2.7. Fluence has always just been to one number sign, one decimal. So I'm not saying foul play here. I would like to see an official sphere report at 2.7 because I think they're a little closer to like 2.63, 2.65. I got my numbers down here, but
no, I feel you. And like I said, I'm curious what bins they're getting, things like that, because the bigger companies that are those next tiers, that's where I'm curious, because I still get quite a bit of the like I said, the upper bin here. In the general stock. So I know they should be at least in the SL, which means for the most part they should be getting a bump on those 3K numbers.
I think some bin sorting might be going on here. I think the SLs obviously. I mean, I'm almost sure there's bin sorting because the more expensive one that I have upstairs, the $1,500 one, uses 18 less watts. That's an indication of lower forward voltage.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to bump your efficacy right there.
Sure.
Without actually changing anything. And you might actually end up at maybe a similar overall output because you've lost wattage to gain that efficacy via the forward voltage drop there. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's 18 watts lost. Now, I always preach that watts are something that you spend. You pay watts. That's not something you get, but it is the
return usually, assuming there's a
They
similar
return.
watts give you a return, you know. And when you're splitting hairs and in the canopy level, things get, you know, you're really splitting hairs on a canopy level.
No, it's like take me and you. If I invested $630 into Bitcoin on the same day you invested $648, guess which one of us would have a fuck ton more money now from 18 watts? That would be like saying, you know, 18 more watts over 20 grows.
5 years, or your, you know, your warranty period. Yeah.
5 years. That might have paid for the light right there.
And that's good. Even if you're at a gram a watt there for most of those guys, which, you know, shouldn't be too hard for them, even in the commercial setting. So
I am cautiously optimistic and simultaneously pessimistic about the diode choice in the 2i, knowing what I know and knowing that I've got 2/3 of my diodes are 5,000 Kelvin.
So
and
they're
I'm
bumping the efficacy level. How much is that actually going to benefit you on the growing level?
Is it the right allocation? Yeah, the efficacy's there. Is the allocation where I can get my meat on, dude? I want to put the meat in the seat.
Well, that's so, like, with me, like, I've been on a similar path as you. Like, we've tested multiple kind of, like, to try to dial in, like, 35K is great, 3K is great. Somewhere in between there could be magic. But, you know, more of a differentiating factor. But it's always been to favor that red shift of the spectrum and not get away from that. I'm curious how much of that is actually going to, you know, because people claim some great things from some high CRI, although my testing proved differently. But nonetheless, there's been some claims on some high CRI that would, even though it's red shifted, the overall photons are less too. So I don't know.
The CRI argument to me is moot, because at this point, if you pop a couple 660s and, you know, take a 3K base, add a couple cool whites, add a couple 660s, and you're there.
It's not really the CRI that it's important. It's the fact that whatever represents your R9 value, which is essentially like 630 to, you know, whatever it is, 680 or something, whatever's giving you that value is lacking. And so however we were going to improve that, and so with high CRI, they do that with a phosphor shift. But us, or even multiple people, and it's actually a phosphor fucking filter that kills your benefits.
And that's what it is. That's what it is. How much phosphor do you want blocking photons?
No, that's just so, okay, you had a low R9. Well, now you don't have a low, you still have the same R9. You just got a lower R1 through 14 minus R9.
Oh, you're talking about the elliptical chromaticity, like those crazy hard to interpolate graphs on the end of a spec sheet. That we gloss over.
And what they are is they're basically a representation of every color and how well that spectrum's representing that specific color or within those band range. And for the most part, the difference between 70, 80, and 90 CRI in white, so everything else being more or less the same, although they do shift, especially to the 90s. It's really that red band area that just gets improved. But that doesn't help our plants get more photons unless we can do it in a better way, which we've been doing recently for a while now, and now Fluence and everyone, and that's with a high efficacy white, whether it be even 70 CRI, because if you're going to supplement with a 660, that little loss of overall red you're going to be doing, it's only like a 3 to 5 nanometer overall shift between the 70 and the 80. Fill it in with a 660 directly, you know, stop beating around the bush and stop adding things that take away and just add what you want to add, right? Exactly.
But
and it's
now
not like
we're
it's very
there, though.
I mean, it's still at least with what most everyone's doing, whether it be PLC, you with a Logic, so chilled, Fluence, Gavita, it's not an extreme spike. You know, I like how you call it the double bubbles.
The double bubble's where it's at, because you and I both know that the best way to get more bud is to put more light in, right? But the plants can only take so much light, especially when it's focused, targeted, and peaked, you know? And if you want to get more bud, you need to put more light. You need more carbon to put even more light. And the only way to put the maximum amount of light is like a pretty even allocation of photons throughout the range, including cyan, blue, maybe even to some of the like barely UVA, you know, anywhere where you can get some synergistic contribution.
That was kind of the argument for 4K for a lot of people, was its increase in cyan levels compared to the other white bases.
Yeah, too much green though.
But exactly, it came with it's that thing of like, how can we add a high, when do we get that high efficiency cyan? That's that,
But
then we can really get into some scientific and some more academic kind of lights and see some actual results from those eventually. Meanwhile, still producing with the well-known to do more base white red, but I am curious on the more scientific level what that will eventually offer. But as far as all the testing I've done, all the testing that seems that you've done, and I can basically speak since Fluence is really gung-ho for that white red spectrum now, the whatever we call it, the biospec.
yeah, the biospec, they need to update their website. It's currently
There's a slight shift from model.
There's a shift. This light is a shift. We have our own spectrometer here, and it's a good one.
I would imagine just the efficacy improvement in the whites, unless they're going to take whites away, like why would they do that? The whole point was they're getting better and they're on there. That alone is just going to get a shift as the whites continue to get better and the reds are not on such a steep progression curve there.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I feel like reds, I mean, do you remember the threads on Roll It Up where reds, monochromatic reds, or monos in general, were seen as an efficiency loss and a spectrum chase? And there was data to back that up as
there was up until the high efficiency photo red from Crete, it was not
the
a red.
Yep. That was the precise moment, the HE, the XPE HE, right?
That was when Epistar was like, oh, we finally got our thing, and Crete will buy all our top bins, and that's the Crete fucking XPE high efficiency photo red, and it was fantastic. And now that's continued to improve, but that was what really did it, and it was the improvements in 660, because before that, people were only focusing on 620 and 630 improvements.
Because of McCree, right? That was the peak. Creek from McCree, peak.
Well, see, I had a big battle with Robert, who's the plant physiologist at Apache back when I was with them, and it was, okay, well, yeah, you have a 3% higher RQE on there, but the morphological factors of 660, like we talked, like he doesn't deny that. So it was always an argument, but then it came down to the performance at the time of, as soon as that red gets over 25C, it's dog shit. And still to this day, that's the downfall of the deep red is the heat.
You got to give them some more birth, a little more birthing room.
Yep, but its base efficacy is so much higher than it ever used to be that it's finally there. And that's the thing. You're actually still to this day, for the most part, we do take a slight wall plate efficiency decrease when implementing the reds, but because of its heavy photon, obviously at like 5.5 or whatever it is per micromole per radiant watt, it makes up for that with the photon count, but it actually is not quite as electrically efficient as, say, the top-end Samsungs or any of the whites that we've been using.
And the Royal Blues electrically are like,
yeah, that's just stupid. Yeah.
Photon-wise, it's that old Planck's constant or inverse wavelength to energy thing. But I will say this, definitely credit to you for kind of breaking the story, like the XPE-HE, you were always kind of had the behind the scenes. And then I think you photographed the Citizen Royal Blue Cob a full 2 years before it got into anybody's hands. So credit where credit's due. But I think, how do we fight these? Well, I've made videos, you've made videos, and to the best of our knowledge with those current components, they were 100% accurate to the best of our ability, and now they're wrong.
Wait, what?
Right? We've made videos, posts, things in the past
about kind of
like, let's say I made a video where I said monochromatic LEDs in this 600 nanometer range is great for spectrum, is great for this, but it's an efficacy loss, right? Well, that was true in 2015 prior to the Cree XPE-HEs. Now that is a false statement, but there's 1,000 to 10,000 people with that in their head, or with some other thing that turned out to be, due to technology shifts, not true.
Well, that was even rolled up. I remember posting on that for that specific thing, saying, I've made posts saying, like, the day that red efficacy is up there, I will start implementing them again. And that's pretty much exactly what happened.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
I mean, this year consistently.
Well, we were making, where the fuck are they? We made a lot of the, I'll find them somewhere, but we made a lot of private lights. Low Key's got them with the, it was the LOB. It was 35 XPG3s on the Adura PCB with reds, and then we showed it to Adura, and they started making their own, and now they sell it as a horticulture thing. But we were making 2015 for This is just unreal. We are that big, and we are literally that big of nerds that we just fucking keep our lives. That is fantastic. It actually does tell me, though, I probably need to get going here. But Mouse is jumping in here real quick. We'll get back. There's just so many people loving this right now. I'm loving it too. It's like I said, like I told Mouse in the first live, it's nice to actually be able to talk to someone who's on your level, not just talking to suppliers and salesmen and you know, competition. Although like me and Mouse are competition, you know, as far as
we're competition.
Other than behind the phone selling to a customer, I don't consider Mouse competition. I mean, whatever.
I always tell the truth about competitors when a customer emails. When they email about the HLG 550, I tell them exactly. It's, you know, it's using the top. It, you know, that, you know, that's what PLC is using. You know, the 301Bs.
Yeah. No. Are you joining in here? I hear you, but I don't see you yet. It could be my end. I don't know. Where's Mouse? Okay, he's trying again. Okay, I hear you again. Ah, there's the man, the lumberjack. We see you. You must have Sprint.
You there? Okay,
Yeah,
can
I'm here.
you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right, sorry. There's usually a little silence. Dude, I don't even remember what I was talking about, dude.
I don't know where we were at too, dude. That's honestly, I've burned through 2 full lives now.
Competition.
Yeah. Oh, competition. Yeah.
Okay. Firstly, it's a fucking shame that this whole thing wasn't archived to just go back and just nerd out on, dude. For the people that like this shit.
All right. Well, here's how it works. So if you have Google Chrome, you go to Instagram, and you go up to the top right where it has the 3 buttons, and then you go to more tools, I believe it is. Anyway, you can get the mobile version of Instagram on Google Chrome.
Okay.
And then you can just watch the story and run OBS and record it.
Well, another solution would be let's just lay this wax down on YouTube, baby, so they can play it back, you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I could do that or whatever, because I think I can just save them since they're my streams. I think I might be able to download them.
I don't think these dudes even care about the bars, dude. I think they just want to have in the background, just absorb, just sponge it up, you know?
Yeah.
So 2 things real quick. Number 1 about competition. You and I are only competitors to the person that only ever buys 1 LED grow light in their entire life. That's the only way we're competitors. Because people like me, they like you. People hate you. There's a couple people, I guess, that hate me. A lot more people that hate you because you've been known to be a huge asshole.
Fuck yeah.
You know,
I said them.
I think it's a full moon base. It's a little more than a full moon. About every 3rd full moon, Green Gene will come out and just fucking Wolverine your ass on the internet. But, you know, people want to try your stuff. People want to try my stuff. People want to try an HLG. They want to try a Fluence. And that's as big a part of this hobby is chasing that motherfucking dragon, dude. Maybe that shield will give me the dragon. Maybe that Fluence will give me a dragon.
Well, dude, and that's it. So we came out DIY before you were ever with any company. We came out DIY, produced it, got everything to them. Once everyone and their brother was with it, like, cool. Yeah. That's settled. Everyone's happy. Let's go do our thing and try to have our goal, at least for PLC. We wanted to be in commercial grows. We wanted to be in big rooms, wanted to walk in, and we got there. We have a few of them. They're fucking awesome. And a lot more coming. So it's like that was our focus. Meanwhile, the whole time I had my back turned to, you know, where I came from in the DIY.
Yeah.
And you guys are crazy. I will say, with the Photo Boost release, with the first launch and everything, and just the emails and the inquiries from all over the world, but let alone just the numbers that you guys want to do it in. The industry is so much bigger than it ever was in 2014, and it's just badass to see. So thank you guys who do actually wait for my shit and are waiting for the strips and support me, even though I'm an asshole most of the time. Don't take it personally.
No, listen, guys, we got to get something out here, and this isn't anything personal. DIY is the way to go if you want to invest a little bit of your time and brain power, but you still have to invest that little bit of time and brain power to get the savings. Companies like PLC, companies like Chilled, companies like Horticultural Lighting Group are cutting themselves as a middleman out of the equation and giving you the parts and the technology, and in many oftentimes the instructions, hundreds of pages of forum threads. But the type of people that are keeping people like Gene and myself from innovating, filling orders, and inventing new products are the lazy people that only care about saving money in this game and will not invest that couple hours that you're going to save hundreds or even thousands. And that's who's killing the hobby. That's who's crushing people like me. We still get it done. We're flipping boards on boards, but I could be on to new products if I wasn't answering these lazy fucking emails, guys. I am happy for every sale I get. I'm fortunate when I go to sleep at night and I've made at least one customer above and beyond happy because, you know, I've held their hand or whatever. I'm happy to do it. I will go further for you if you demonstrate that you have the slightest inkling of a clue. And if you show up on my email inbox and you don't know which way is up, I want to fight for you, but give me a reason to fight, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard because you've worked so hard, especially like you put out a video that explains exactly what to do, exactly where to get it. And it's like they just didn't want to, they stopped at minute 3 and they just didn't want to make it to minute 6.
And I'm not bitching about my customers. I fucking love my customers.
No, that's just a person's mentality, because most of the customers, they appreciate it. How many emails a day do you get of, man, I absolutely love what you, first off, I love your channel and I love what you do for the community. Like, that's the start of how many emails you get, you know, like, at least for me, I get it all the time. And, you know, it's like, man, I remember I used to always respond, if I'm just a guy just a guy growing and showing and doing what I do. And still to this day, at least on the channel, that's what I'm doing. I don't show everything I do for PLC for obvious reasons nowadays, but as far as that, I'm part of the community. I came from, you know, as a grower making grow lights, a grower making grow lights for growers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love my customers, you know, and my only qualification for a customer is to have spent $1 and they become my customer. And I will go as far as to the ends of the earth. I don't care if I have to lose money, ship for free to Denmark or Canada. I'll take care of you. But if you're going to use a lot of my time, please become my customer. You know, I shoot for 1 in 10 inquiries to convert into a sale, into food on the table for me and my employees. When I go through 40 emails and my orders box is at 0 still, you know, a day after answering 40 emails, that's when you know, the emails get a little shorter for everybody because it's a time investment. So
you worked a deal. They wanted condensed shipping. You got all this pricing for them, and then their next question is, well, what about this? And they're off to a different product and so, and they never pulled the trigger, and you're pulling them along. Versus someone who, like you say, spent $1, bought a set of hangers,
buy a fan,
green
$6,
you know, bought a mug or what, you know,
sure.
Got some other accessories on there. Go PLC. There's some Green Jeans stuff and some PLC merch. Like, that's a way to help out. Or agreed, but there's nothing. I've done it where I've like kind of snapped on someone and they go, "Oh man, well I've got 6 PLC 6s right now." And I'm like,
and you feel like a fucking asshole because you didn't remember.
Like a dick. So if I've done that to you, I truly apologize.
It happens, guys. You catch me in a mood.
Asshole when I do it. Yeah, and it's exactly what Mouse said. It was, and when he said the rest of the emails after that get a lot shorter. It was someone else, and my apologies for if I ever pass it off on someone on the other side of an email that didn't deserve it.
I've definitely sent Loki, Incognito. I've definitely sent Scaregrow. I've definitely sent LED Builder. I've definitely sent them some very brief emails, and I think and hope those guys realize it ain't you, bro. It was the last guy before you that asked me, how do you extend an extension cord? Can I just buy a 3-foot extension cord from Lowe's and get power from my, you know, that's the kind of thing that's below my pay grade. I'm sorry. But I didn't bring this up to be a Green Gene, Growmau5 bitch about customer service. Just give us the money and don't ever, you know, email. I brought it up in the context of the Hawthorne Group, Monsanto, Gavita. Gavita has been putting out propaganda for years that
Against.
they're against LED, that their DE technology was the only thing if you wanted to hit the maximum, the apex of the vortex, of the pinnacle of growing technology. So that's fine as Gavita Holland. You know, they're OG. But when we're talking about Monsanto, Roundup, Hawthorne, fucking Miracle Grow Group, okay, and you guys want to ask me my opinion about some carpet bagging, contradicting, fucking, what's the word that starts with an H? Hypocritical ass motherfucking LED, okay, by the Monsanto Group? You want to ask my opinion about this carpet bagging bullshit where you know fucking these people have lobbied against cannabis in the 80s and 90s. Look it up. And now, hold on. Let me finish my rant. You want to ask about a Gavita LED from the Monsanto Group who's fucking lobbied against cannabis in the 80s and 90s, and now that it's profitable, you want to hang that shit up in your fucking room? You and I have nothing in common. Buy a Fluence. Buy a fucking Fluence. It's probably better anyways. Why are you even talking about Gavita? If I see a Gavita LED in anybody's room, it's an immediate unfollow. It's an immediate unfollow.
You're following me, man. I'm going to buy one. I'm telling you.
Support the fucking people that have supported this community and helped it get to where it is, not the corporate people that have been fucking lobbying against cannabis until it got profitable and now want to hit the scene after spilling years of propaganda that DEHPS was the only thing, and now it's an LED. That's a direct copy of what we've been doing on Roll It Up for the last fucking 6 years. And you want to ask me, what do I think about the new Gavita LED? Buy a Fluence. Or wait until PLC and Chilled come out with the 2019 models. Save your fucking money up for that, because you're going to want to save your money up for that. Let me tell you what's up.
I already got it, dude. It's right here. This is everything they have. We're running Crees and running more of the Crees, and they're running the Osrams.
Oh, do you genetically modify your lights to fuck people's gardens for years to come, so you have to keep buying fuses and keep buying bullshit to keep your lights running? Is that a strategy of PLC?
That costs me extra. That doesn't come with PLC product. No way.
Not a fan of I'm not a fan of carpet baggers, and I'm not a fan.
I feel you, but what you have to also realize is Gavita's footprint in the horticulture industry and what that represents, regardless of cannabis.
It's powerful.
I understand your morals and where you want to support it, but the fact that they're making a product in this segment now,
it validates us.
Tell people the morals behind it, but we also have to be our transparent selves and acknowledge what it is, and we can do that in a non-opinionated, strictly fact-based way.
I bought one; it's on the way. You know, but I have to. I want to be able to confidently, with my hands on both products, tell people.
Say which one.
Yeah, tell people which one. And honestly, the build quality on the Fluence is so low. It's so chintzy with all that polycarbonate plastic.
Well, I don't have much expectations for the Gavita.
My fear is it will be more robust. And if the user can remove the optics, bro. Wait, say again?
You said it was a touch flimsy. And from what I could see from the few people I've seen online that are moving them around in their grow rooms, I could see that too. But again, with a 48 by 48 inch fixture and that kind of like you say, like between Fluence using plastic and overall kind of sketchily stamped things and whatever Gavita's using, they're definitely trying to push it to the economical build. And is it going to be night and day between the little bit of flex that's there? Is it going to make or break the light? Probably not. But overall, when we're talking about build quality and what they put into it versus, like you say, a product that comes built like a tank with a heat sink that's so robust, and then for even you might even active cool it on top of it or something. But yes, there are much more quality and solid products out there. But that's the thing. How many questions do you get that are asking you to compare your product to X or G?
Yeah. And honestly, it's really going to take, you and I can.
That G question is very new because they just whipped it out. So we got to see what that's going to happen.
Wait, what G question? Oh,
Gavita.
Yeah. You were trying to Voldemort me, dog. I wasn't prepared for my own game.
We don't just we'll keep your heart rate down, bro. I can say every time you hear the word Gavita, you just you pucker up a little bit.
Growmau5 also brings up a couple excellent. I mean, there's new players in the game too. Growmau5 talks about science.
So the Marijuana Business Expo, man, LEDs and extraction equipment ran the floor, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how it always is with extraction equipment. But I did hear there was a lot of shitty LEDs that, like what we were talking about, were kind of like, wow, you really you decided to come to a show with this, but they wanted to get their name out there. You know, I understand. And but then there was obviously the big dogs there as well too.
I think my goal for my channel, you know, because I do have the resources here, is I need to get out. Look, somebody's going to talk about this shit, and it makes me upset when I watch a video and I can tell that someone is expressing some half-assed data with very strong conviction, and I just could have done a better, more accurate job, or you could have done a more accurate job. The person isn't really quite qualified to be making this comparison, but somebody has to do it. And so that's why I'm going to do videos on these lights.
Yeah, okay, well that's good. And like, just let people take it for what it's worth. Like, because that's my issue. It's always been everyone's, because I was the first one to go, you know, to get out of DIY, or was with Apache before that, but you know, to actually go on my own. And as soon as it was like, oh, Green Gene's a fucking, he's a shill now for his own company and shit. But the way we've presented all our information, and what you, like you say, what you have access to now with the lab being close and your relationship with them, and just the basic spectrometers and, you know, tools that we have around the shop, they're not going to be able to pivot your ownership of chilled or whatever part owner, you know, with the actual data that you're being presented, because the actual data will be hard data, and the only, you know, they just can't unravel that. All they'll be able to bitch about is that one little thing. So if you give them so much good, unadulterated data, that little bit that you own a company, it'll go right over. And especially with the Growmau5 channel, you know, you've done very well before you were part of Chill.
Both of us have worked pretty hard to earn people's trust, number one, and two, to maintain it. It's been like almost 2 years since I've been part of Chilled, and it's been what, 3 and change since you've been part of PLC, or longer. So look,
2014.
So let's call it 5 years almost. And so I think people that have been around get it. If we were going to really sell out and start hype marketing Chilled Tech and hype marketing Pacific Light Concepts, we'd have done it by now. Now it's time to get real. There's real players, billion-dollar international global juggernauts in this game right here. And, you know, we need to evaluate these lights in an educated, data-driven way, so that Johnny Clickbait doesn't fucking come in and create a bunch of stupid emoji-faced thumbnails with some bullshit, you know, lumen meter fucking shit, dude. We got to get this FOSI, you know, that's the, so science and FOSI, dude, they're two of the, and then there's that MIT light, that guy from MIT that has the 3.2 micromole, 1700.
Water-cooled one?
Yeah, it's got 1700 Osram chips in it, dude. It's a concept car. It would cost $5,000.
Yeah.
But, you know, the FOSI, dude, it's not out yet, but they have other lights out. And I've been kind of openly communicating with their owner, I believe out of Vegas, on Instagram. He invited me down. So let's, you know, we're not competitors except for the guy that only buys one light. I think people are very incestuous when it comes to grow lights. I think they're going to run an SK. You know, SK comes out with a new light, they're going to run it. They're going to run the Fluence. They're going to run the PLC. They're going to run anything I come out with that is, you know, measures up to that bar. And I think in 2019, every light that's worth a spit looks like a spider in some way, shape, or form, or like an Illumitex Neo Soul, if you want to kick it back how you were kicking it back, G. You know, like they're all going to be spider, because that's the best form factor. Would you agree or disagree?
Little tomato concepts. Bet you never heard of that. Like, go look it up. You'll never buy one. So thanks. You're welcome for the free advertising.
All right, little tomato concepts.
Yeah. So this was around back 2012 when I was with Apache. So this may even predate Illumitex. Now, granted, it's not exactly the same, but it's just a very, like, it's a cool little name. And I actually just looked them up last night. I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that's the only other company I've ever seen with concepts in the name. Anyway,
I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, they got nothing. Their site hasn't changed since 2012. I don't even know if they're still in business, but like, look at that design, man.
So these are the double OG. These are the original. This is the triple OG shit right here.
Yeah, dude, with built-in reflectors around 35 diodes, like it was a really cool light. Like it didn't perform as well, and it was before its time. It's before the components that were in there could perform how they needed to perform. And nowadays, yeah, I don't think that exactly is, but you say, that's the whole goal. We want to be able to spread it out, have the absolute best uniformity possible, and the most amount of light captured from the light to the canopy. And how's the best way to do that? Limit hanging height and diffuse it by actual size.
I think one could argue that this is kind of more derivative of a commercial T5 or a commercial T8 kind of almost.
They have with more bars.
I could see this being attributed as the OOG, but BML really gave us the original spider form factor in a full 42-inch by 42-inch light. So I do credit them for the innovation.
And 660 watts too. That was the big key, because even the Illumitex was only about 515.
That's
their biggest.
At those efficacies, you really needed about 700 watts to get it done to compare to 1,000, right?
No,
because
we were EXPs with 750 watts to get where we actually needed yield-wise.
Because back then we were at like 1.7 micromoles, right? And so when you're at 700 watts, let's see, what's that?
And that was like that's still the questionable of like, how does it actually perform in an operating temperature?
That's like 56 divided by, I'd have to do this on the calculator. I totally fucked up my math. Well, I did want to get one thing out though. When everybody's light, when the new Spectrum King is a spider design, when the new
Dagos.
What?
Look at Dagos.
That's what I'm referring to, right?
Oh yeah.
So when that's a spider design, Fluence is a spider design, Gavita is a spider design. There's only so many ways to skin a cat. Aluminum is too expensive to make big old bars anymore. Everything's going to look like a spider.
I'll just say, watch what you do when you are copying Fluence or doing it, replicating. If you see something they like, for any of you out there who are trying to do, Fluence has a very big legal department, and they will fight for something that even if it doesn't work, they will cause you more trouble than it's worth. Trust me.
They will. But I mean, look at the 6 pending lawsuits they have against Carson Lighting out of China. Like, they're not winning any of these lawsuits. They're just tying people up, spending their money. But yeah, be careful as a motherfucker.
Well, that's the thing. Do you want to waste your time? Do you want to waste your money?
I don't waste the money.
That's the thing. Let's just say this. I'm speaking from fucking personal experience.
Oh, okay.
Don't do it.
Okay. I'm going to shut up.
Yeah. There's a reason we've been out of stock for a little bit here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, more on that privately, right?
No, it's not major. Everything's actually totally fine now. But just, again, do you want to spend the time to defend something that they're going to do? So make sure if you're going to be out there, because I know a lot of you guys out there will eventually like branch into your own brand. It's just inevitable. It's what happens. It's the nerd in all of us. I understand it. But,
I think
be careful who you're replicating and how much you're replicating them.
When it was the multi-million-dollar company out of Austin, Texas, I might have given them a little, gotten a little close. But now that it's the billion-dollar corporation out of Germany, I probably wouldn't fuck around.
Yeah.
One thing I think people are going to struggle with all these spider, quote-unquote, TM trademarked lights is hanging height. One thing we got to remember is, this is a spider, but forget that. When you have a 60 or a 90-degree optic coming off a cob or something like that, the inverse square law tells us that you've got this very meaty safe zone, or what I would call the sweet spot in terms of z-axis depth into the canopy, right? That amount of space is
dispersion outside your target zone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the different factors of the inverse square law. They're thicker per exponential, right? So per exponential loss, the distance in the z direction is thicker. Let's say it's 6 inches or 12 inches. That's when you're running 90 and 60 degree optic or discrete lights or whatever the case may be. When you switch over to a spider type of design, you have the density, but that density is now over a 42-inch fixture, not out of a 1-inch or 2-inch spot.
I mean, to have the inverse square law even applicable, you pretty much have, I think it's like 5 times the size of the source. You have to be 5 times the distance away from the source must be 5 times the size of the light emitting source. So if you have a 44, 50-inch fixture, for lack of better, easy math there, that means what? You got to be 25 feet away?
I don't know. All I'm saying is buy a par meter. If you're gonna be deploying these spider style lights, your Z-axis sweet spot is much thinner. Your margin of error is much lower with a big spread out 120-degree optic. Your Z-axis sweet spot is much thinner. Your hanging height is more critical.
On the new spider yet?
What?
Have you been checking it on the new spider?
Yeah, but
because I was actually very surprised at how well it does at a higher hanging height than I would have designed it for.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. And I think with all those different emission angles and all the different photons, I think penetration is going to be great. I'm just saying, I see all these commercial ops with these Fluence running 3-4 feet above the canopy, and I don't think you have that much leeway. When you have a room packed full of lights, the whole thing becomes uniformly dense. But I think that hanging height is going to be more critical with these big spread out fixtures.
Yeah, and I think they're so set up for multi-tier.
Yeah.
They're doing just as well, but they're not being the spider design is being implemented in multi-tier. They're opting for the Viper a lot of times if they're not going to multi-tier. And I don't know if that's a Fluence sales thing or what their exact reasoning is, but there's definitely, it seems that given the choice, if they have the higher ceiling heights, they'll just hang LEDs higher. They won't even stick to the same concept. So I don't know what their reasoning behind that is. But
yeah,
I've been finding with our testing, though, that sweet spot's a little larger than I would have anticipated.
It definitely, the Fluence definitely has great numbers all around, all the way from 6 inches, obviously. They recommend 6 inches on the website. I would love to see someone do a 6-inch run away from the plants.
That's like 1,200, pretty close to across the canopy, at least if I'm basing off what I see here. That's intense. I mean, obviously you got to, yeah, interesting. That's why I'm saying I'm actually seeing more ideal numbers kind of in the 850, 900 range, which is, more applicable to general crops. It's, I'm seeing that higher than I would have anticipated.
Yeah, like it's hitting that at like over 2 feet away, like up at 30 inches. It's doing great. The point I'm trying to just kind of ring around the rosy and get to is don't run these lights at a foot without a par meter. I think a grower without CO2 that's dialing in some newts is going to have a hard time keeping his plants green with this light a foot away. But I don't like to see them too far away. Again, I'm not talking.
But I think people err on too far with these lights, and that's a commercial thing. I'd rather not adjust it as much and just whatever. What's 200 micromoles? I don't know what 200 micromoles on the meter is.
Depending on where it's going, is it going to your carpet or your walkway? The single light growers.
Well, that's why I'm saying the mentality of that grower a lot of times is I'd rather have it hanging so my maintenance is less, so my crew's doing less, so people don't fuck up, so nothing gets burned because, of course, they've never let it grow. They're from sodium where things still burn. But yeah, so it's I think a lot of that has to do with, I don't know what you would call it, but like the labor and the maintenance of the grow, not necessarily the actual.
It's a pain in the ass to fucking lift a light and balance it,
It's working with a lot of pinch systems and it's you do anything, and that's what they to go over every day. You're getting an inch of growth a day, and you need to maintain 6-inch clearance. Let's just put it at 18 to 24, and that gives us 3 days of leeway versus like maybe 12 hours. I could come back I don't know. So
I've gotten accustomed to that first 3 weeks of flower. I'm going to be adjusting my light every other day.
All day, yeah.
Every other day or every day or whatever. But just, capping that off and covering something else I wanted to cover with you.
But when you got 400 lights, 600 lights.
Well, it's a pretty even photon blanket at that point. But then you come into areas where, photons.
Trademark photon blanket.
Big photon blanket. No, that is a big photon blanket. It goes back to mimicking commercial growers on Instagram in your home grow room where you have 1 or 2 lights. And you just can't afford to be losing those photons to the carpet, or whatever you have over there. So I think the point I'm getting to is not so much like getting max photons as burning your plants, bleaching your plants, not being able to keep up with carbon, through CO2 or nutrition with these higher, because we're talking 2.7, bro. We're not talking 1.7 where I've had excellent harvests. We're not talking about 2.2.
Like go into a commercial grow that's running Gavitas with a par meter. You hit 750.
Yeah, that's about it though. It's even, but it's about 700 micromoles.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's what everyone's used to. So all of a sudden you give them an LED system that has spectral differences that are, dealing with the plant differently there, and you're throwing, what is that, like almost 50% more photons at that point?
Yeah, I mean, you can push 1,100, 1,200 micromoles on this thing if you press it at 6 inches. That'll fuck a plant. 700 to 1,200. Hey, if my battery dies, I'm done. Just FYI.
Yeah, I'm in the same. I'm literally on charger right now. You've killed my battery's been dead the whole time. But
dude, let's kill it there, dude, and let's pick it up on a TT sometime really soon, like after the holidays.
For sure. I'm gonna, like I said, I'll figure out the saving of this, and maybe I can at least do it at, maybe a no video on YouTube, or maybe we'll post it on YouTube, or at least I'll figure it out. We'll do something.
People will watch the black bars. They won't care.
That's what I'm saying. They'll fuck it.
Hey, thanks to all 130 people, 118 right now.
There was like 148 at one point in here. It started off well. Mouse, I will give you some credit for bringing some people in here. But dude, this was fun, man. I haven't seen you in so long.
Cheers, dude. You too, man.
Well, the last roundtable I was on, you weren't even on. So
yeah, I was going through. Dude, I was struggling with some depression.
I understand.
I was struggling with some depression, and I just kind of need to just get it worked out and just take some time to myself, and that fixed it. I didn't need to get on medication really or anything. I had a little something to help me through. Went and saw the doctor. I didn't like doing it, but hey, when you need help, you gotta go get help.
Dude, good for you, man, reaching out, because stuff. Your area, I understand. Like it's fucking rainy all
it's
the time,
depressing in a motherfucker out here, dude. And
dude, I just went back to New Jersey for fucking 4 days, and it rained and was shitty, and horrible. I can only imagine to just waking up every day to that same cold ass tent. Yeah, anyway, it's a beautiful place.
I'm ready to grow again. I'm ready to get like reunited with my friends again, competitors or not, dude. Let's have some fun. Let's get people inspired, and let's get that reciprocal inspiration going again. Remember when everyone was tagging up, oh dude, you grow in the Rift, oh I got this new punch, oh I got this shit. Everyone was fucking stoked, and like now everyone's just in their own corner slanging LEDs, and we just got to get this community back and get these LED nerds back and like growing some weed and fucking.
That's it. There's no major forum location. The round table's not as much. My channel's been deleted.
But now the lights are fucking 2.6, 2.5, 2.7 micromoles, dude.
Oh, dude. I remember when we were thinking we were there one time with spec sheet fucking datas and shit. Nowadays to be there on the system level for these lights and what we can produce and what the DIYer can now produce, and that's the thing. I got guys who are like, I need 2,000 strips. Like I'm gonna build 100. I'm gonna build 115 lighter. Fucking, I sell pre-made lights, bro. Like what? But you want to DIY it?
DIY is an incredibly challenging corner of the market, but it must be filled with high quality products, or these Alibaba knockoffs are going to reign supreme. If Chill didn't exist and HLG didn't exist, and well, you just came back, so I'm not including you in this. If those two companies didn't exist, it'd be on Rapid LED to sell all the cobs.
I'm responsible for fucking pin heat sinks and cobs. I'll take it.
Oh no, I'm just saying you've been out for a minute in the DIY scene. I'm saying it's a good thing that PLC's back.
Well, that's
in the
the
mix.
thing. I sat there and watched them going, oh my god, everyone just wants, like, you don't care. It costs you the same in the end. But if it costs you the same in the end, and you guys put the fucking elbow grease into it, I understand it's more rewarding, and you can shape it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me make $1 per watt light engine for you guys, so I can get my quantities up, and everybody fucking wins, dude. Like, take care of the community, they take care of you. Everybody's growing better dank than these Amazon lights, and they're building them themselves. People know how their stuff works. It's important.
That's it, guys.
All right.
Support the little guys. Hey, great to see you, buddy. I will we'll text behind the scenes. But everyone else, peace, guys. We're out.
All right, peace. Later, brother.